You keep it turned on?
Shalom, family.
Shalom, shalom.
Ain't wigging up, though. Ain't wigging up.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Is this the class that we on? What kind of class that we on?
How's it going?
Huh?
I'm trying to double check.
Congratulations. You got you
Todah and everything that come with, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
For all y'all with children that's older than ours, y'all know.
Ooh, goodness, these sure.
Did y'all leave him on campus?
No.
They was doing a 2-day prep.
Orientation.
Yeah, it's like a prep orientation or something where they handle all they, like, you know,
Okay.
they dorms and dorm mates and.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So that was just,
Yeah.
before getting actually there and into set up for school. So this is just the pre stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure all the financial stuff is squared away, room and board, showing them around the campus, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. Oh. Look, Red, when I seen the picture, I was thinking about when I had first went away to school, and I was thinking about my mom, and she was crying, and I was looking at your face, and I said, why is she crying? She got 7 more kids to go. That's what I told my mom. I said, what are you crying for? You got 7 more kids behind me. Leave me alone.
We crying because of all the torment and pain they put us through.
Right?
I'm telling you, maybe I was crying because I got 7 more kids to go.
Oh, that's what. That's what she was saying. My mom was boo-hooing. I'm looking at her like, you about to go back home to 7 kids. Leave me alone. Okay. My brother, my mother, my dad, they was all out there crying.
I bet.
I was like, oh my gosh.
I bet. I'm trying to get rid of the bar.
Anxiety.
Man, do that sometimes too.
It's sticking, yeah. I'm sorry, fam. Our internet and our computer acting crazy as usual.
Yeah, y'all pray for us about this internet tonight.
I'm trying to tweak it so it can be at least functional for the night.
Yeah, buddy.
Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, I think we got y'all now.
Shalom.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's what's up. That's what's up.
How about us? Are we good? Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I can't see the chat box, fam, so I won't be chatting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to minimize my taskbar at the bottom of the screen. It's just, I can keep fiddling with it, but I'm scared it's going to do more damage than it's going to do good. So I'm just going to leave it.
It's recording.
I believe we are recording. I heard it say, yeah, recording.
Okay.
All right, fam. So yeah, it was pleasant. It was, a nice experience, and it's stressful at the same time, but it is what it is. For y'all that got children that's going to college, y'all know.
He ready. He ready. He ready to dive into let's go. He ready. But and what can you say? You just pray that you keep under your prayer, and
I'm still having my separation anxiety as a father. I call and talk to those of y'all they have. Like I lean on Dawid. I be calling Dawid like Ak. This what I'm feeling. This what I'm going through. I know you've been through this already. You know. And she got a coaches that she talked to that got children in college. Gilead, her
all the time. I be like, coaching. How do you do it? She got 3 children that's all the way from home, and I'm just like,
Coty Colleen got one that's actually just graduated.
Yeah, I think she has 2 that's away from home though. And
woo. It's
tough.
It's something. Yeah, it's definitely something. Just gotta lean on y'all, you know.
Okay. I think, but you know,
so
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, so would it's stalkerish if, because in my head I was moving with Zion when he went to school. We was moving wherever he went to.
They not gonna want that.
I don't think that's stalkerish. I don't think so. No, okay, so let's be honest.
Was going to
let's be honest. Are you talking about, in all honesty, are you talking about being in the same city or the same state, or like, are you saying in all honesty you want to be within a certain distance? Like, I don't want to be more than 2 or 3 hours away. I don't think that's stalkerish, personally.
Yes.
No, I don't think that's stalkerish. Now, if you say
because he
you want to get an apartment on campus and you want him to live with you, now maybe, I don't know.
You want to be, bunk up in the dorm?
No.
Yeah.
No, because all his schools that he say he want to go to is so far from Philadelphia. So I'm like, okay, but I have to prepare, the next 4 years to be wherever he's at.
Here's what we did, and I think some of y'all did the same thing. And feel free to come to the mic and speak on it if you want to. We, with, like you say, we got 8 altogether. So leading up to this point, we've been really emphasizing how scripturally the family unit is a blessing, and all of the different roles that the family unit play, and how the world that we live in today is anti-family unit. The world that we live in today wants to separate you from the family unit so that you depend on the world, and so that you depend on the government, and so that you depend on whatever you're creating as independent of your family. And so we try to emphasize what the scriptural picture of children growing up and then starting their separate family, or their family, looks like. And it's not so separate as it is an extension of the household. Now, whether your children actually do that is another story, because of course all of our children think we're dumb at some point, and we don't know what we're talking about. We just got to see if y'all gonna rein them in, or if they hardest for y'all, if they hardest for not.
The thing is, scripture say where 2 or more gathered in my name, so am I. Mm-hmm. And so the adversary know that too.
Right.
And when you amongst your people who keep the law, love y'all, your people gonna keep you on your square.
Right.
Gonna keep you tight. You know what I mean? Y'all do it for each other.
They're gonna hold you accountable.
Right. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't gonna be able to get away with some of the stuff you be able to get away with if you ain't have eyes always watching you.
Right.
And the devil know that.
Right.
And so one of the things he put in the hearts of some is to, hey, I want to get out there.
Get away.
I want to get away. You know what I'm
get
saying?
Get away from observing eyes.
Yep. And so, I pray, like, some of my children, don't have the desire to, go far. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some of them, like,
see what's out there.
I want to see what I gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And so, hey, I think of the story of the prodigal son. Prodigal son, it said that the prodigal son demanded his inheritance from his father. And he went out there, he took his inheritance, He lived for a good 6 to 7 months now, but he kicked it. You know what I'm saying? He
Burned through it.
Man, burned through it to the point where he had when he crashed, he was sharing. He was so poor that all his previous friends, when he was out there making it rain like this, was telling them, you can go out, you can go share the slop pen with my pigs,
right?
Because you went out to the world. Cain, you went out to the world. You know what I'm saying? You didn't stay amongst your people where you be treated decently and like the royalty that you are. You went out there to the world who got envy and hate for you, know? And so he came to him one day when he's sitting there eating with the pigs. Like, my father's servants are treated better than this.
Yeah.
So if I can just go back to my father as a servant, you know what I'm saying? I went out there. I had to see what it was like. And let me tell you something. It wasn't all what it was caked up to be.
Some of us got to feel the fire, and some of us don't need to feel the fire. We just need to hear about the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And so y'all know your children. The thing about us is, and I know some of y'all parents probably had a lot of children too. The thing about us with having so many is it's like it's a numbers game. One of the primary reasons we moved out of Chicago is because we were a growing family, and it was like, with this many children, I'm not going to take the chance that I lose my children to the streets of Chicago. Well, now we at this precipice, and it's like, you got all these children that have desires and plans, and and it's a numbers game. You giving them the truth as best you can. Who does it sink in with? Who does it take root with? And who's going to continue to walk that out? And who's going to think to themselves, I hear what they're saying, but I'm gonna try this.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do something different.
It's the law of averages.
And I want the children, like I want everyone who know Yah. Scripture say, it was better that you never knew me than to know me and turn from me. Because it's a thing, like I hear so many people saying, like, they come into this truth, they try it out, they try keeping the laws. What they say is, I do. Okay?
Right.
Just like we did at the mountain.
Right.
So they come into this truth and they say, I do to the Heavenly Father once again. And then decide, you know what, this a little bit too restrictive for me. This not what I had in mind. In my heart, and y'all can relate this to what we've been reading about the Exodus. You can relate it to the same thing. In my heart, I miss what I left. Yep. And even though I entered into this covenant, even though I entered into this marriage agreement, even though I entered into this contractual agreement, I'm now sitting here looking outside my window like, I think I want to try that again. Looking back like Lot's wife. And that the Heavenly Father or the groom hates. Yes, he does. And he also hates for you to be lukewarm. Yep. So to know the truth, but to also know the world and be like, I'm gonna just straddle this fence and take my chances that I can kind of dibble over here and enjoy some of this, and then when it comes time for judgment, I just say, no, I knew you. I knew I was Israel. And he say, I hate that even worse. Yes, I wish that you would have just chose to be in the world or chose to be over here, because even if you'd have chose the world, here's the thing, right? I'd have respected that you made the choice. Yeah. I'd have at least respected that you had the courage to say, I'm going full steam ahead over there. Yeah. But you trying this, I'm gonna do 1 foot over here and one foot over there, and I think that's what it is it's an insult to injury. Yeah. So what you're saying is, I'm a know Yah for when fire and brimstones, then I'm jump over and be like, I'm here, I'm over here. I was always here, but you kicking it over there on the other side all the way up to the now okay, I'm here.
Nah. He say I hate that even more. I spew you out.
And the reason why is because think about the parable of the workers in the field. So I say it don't matter what time somebody show up to work. If they show up to work, they're gonna get paid the same wages as those who have been in the field for since the beginning, those who have been in the field since 2 o'clock, those who have been in the field since 4 o'clock,
But to work is to work.
To work is to work.
Yeah.
And so, if he made that promise and you like, okay, well, we got that parable, so I'm gonna kick it until it's go time, and then I'm gonna jump on over and get down.
Yeah, I'm gonna sow my royal oats first.
He hates that,
and that's what the world teaches us that, and I'm guilty, right? I'm guilty. But we're not supposed to be sowing our royal oats first. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. I'm guilty of doing it, but I didn't know no better. And so what I have to emphasize among my children is, you can't go by what I did, because in all honesty, I can illustrate to you how I'm paying for what I did.
Oh man,
for all of those bad choices right now.
How I paid for what I did.
Even though y'all is blessing me right now, I can still show you how I'm still paying for what I did, even though I didn't know what I did.
Was paying.
And so we know this in American society today, but we come into the truth and think that it don't cross over, but it does. And there's this saying that they have in when you stand before a judge. And that saying is very simple. And that is that ignorance is not a defense. So in other words, I didn't know will not get you off the punishment for the crime. Yep. Well, that goes for Abba Yah as well. Yes, and if you thought it went for the world and didn't go for Abba Yah, you are sadly and very seriously mistaken.
Yes, it does.
Ignorance is not a defense.
Oh, ain't.
I did not know will not hold up on the day of judgment.
Nope.
And if you did know, even worse.
And I did not know ain't gonna stop you from being punished. That's so right. We think of some of the things that we've gone through. You know what I'm saying? I think of the tears I've cried over the years before I knew the truth. Yeah. Because of the stuff that I was doing out in that world. Who knew that every time I put a piece of pork to my lips, I had to pay for that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who knew that, every time I stole or, what I'm saying, just did some sin. We go over the sins. Who knew I was getting punished for that? I just thought my life was just pretty shit. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just like, this just testimony here, like even like what we be telling our children. So we've been together 20 years, but we ain't been married 20 years.
Nope.
So all the stuff we did before we was married, we paying for.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's whatever, we pay for.
Yes.
Even though we did get married, because we did what we did and weren't married and didn't enter into that contractual agreement and that covenant righteously, we pay for that.
We pay for that.
And so
we're trying to
we're trying to show our children where it's like, you see this now, and you look at what we did in the past, and you're like, okay, well, they made it. No, we still had to pay. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for mercy, you know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for the mercy that is bestowed upon us who are dumb, because we ain't babies.
Nope.
So that means we just foolish. Then we would probably be in a far worse place. And also, if it wasn't for the fact that at some point we did commit and try to clean this up, we probably would be worse even still. So, just a bit of our testimony.
Yes, sir. That's the truth. And then you know what? This testimony was right on time because somebody out there needs to hear.
That's usually how I go, ain't
Yes, sir. How was everybody else week?
it? Aside from sour and sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, don't go
I
shy
had
now.
a good week.
Okay.
Hey, hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. I'm glad to hear that.
All
You
right.
know, and I was
I had that
thinking
good
about
tea.
What'd you say,
when it
Auntie
came to
Latasha?
like the different times of like I was thinking about when it came to like the times when the parents let the child go, like even with Abraham when he had let Ishmael go, but he still went to his land to see him, and he was like judging his wife, and he was telling him different things, and Ishmael took heed to it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, we dealing with
And I was thinking,
the adversary has been involved with decades of our upbringing to change us from from that mindset. So it began, my mother's mother was raised differently. You know what I'm saying? My mother was raised differently. And by the time she came to me, and I was raised differently, and then my children was raised differently. And so it's like, because the majority of us was raised with worldly standards, America teaches us that everybody shall have a dream. And you go off and you do your own thing. Because the devil know that if I'm going to conquer this, I have to separate you from your stronghold. I have to separate you from your protective tower. You know what I'm saying? And so our parents, my mom, didn't stay in the protectiveness of her father. My mom was pushed out of there, just like, all rest of her sisters. And so they had to go through things that, had they been under the protection of their father, like the Hebrew way, they
Right.
wouldn't have to go through. And so the result of that is, she had a child out of wedlock. She struggled with my father. I can count on one hand, maybe two, the times I've met him, seen him. And the bad part about it is he owned a barbershop down the street from my house. But had she been under the protection of her father, he never would have got away with treating me and her that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the adversary knows, so that makes broken homes.
Right.
That makes people more prone to going to drugs, trying to escape the realities of their life, going to alcohol. And the devil know this. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you ask, right? Just look at some of the names of the people who's funding the education of American students. They're funding it. They're making the what's being taught in it. And so we're not being taught wholesomeness. We're being taught separation.
Right.
Divide and conquer. That's the way the devil has always worked.
Right.
So
And I'm sure y'all got your own individual stories as well. If you think back to your parents and grandparents, because we don't have any of us a testimony that is uncommon to each other. That's book,
yeah.
My mother's father sent her away. You know what I mean? He had a mentality that what he was doing and the things he was involved in was more important than raising his daughter personally. So sent her away to be raised somewhere else. And so she dealt with all of the emotional things that went along with that, And so this is just where we are. But I believe that we are of the generation, us and y'all, that the corrective actions are being taken. by those of us who are awakening. And even though we're taking those corrective actions, it's still up to each individual to choose righteousness.
Right.
You know, and so that's the big if. You know, that's the big if. If they choose to turn back, if they choose to acknowledge that they were against me and I was against them, then I will heed how's that scripture say?
They cries, they pleads, their
turn
prayers.
my face back toward them and heal them and bring them back to the land. Chronicles, I think that's in Chronicles. Yeah. So it is what it is, fam. Are we still? Can y'all still hear us? Because it looks like our camera is not picking us up anymore.
Your camera went out.
Okay.
Your camera went out.
But we can hear your voices.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, I was thinking, like you said, biblically, everybody kind of lived. They had compounds. You know, they had land, and everybody lived on the same land. You know, they may have had their own tent, but it wasn't far from the, you know, from the regular tent. And even in the South, you know, like how my mother and them grew up, they all kind of grew up in the same house. You one bedroom house, the whole family.
You're right. Yep, you're so right.
You know,
Was that them
Auntie
shotgun
Cookie
houses?
and her husband and her 2 kids lived in one bedroom. Yeah, and they was little places too. You know, they all lived in that, you know, in that bedroom, and then you had your, you know, uncle the room, and then like a lot of times now, you know how it's hard for housing and like that. They didn't have those issues because didn't nobody get a house or move out until they were financially ready.
You're so right. You are so right.
But the devil had to work too hard in those kind of environments.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Remember what King Solomon said? He said, a twofold is not easily broken, but a threefold is impenetrable. Did I say that right? Impenetrable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, the adversary, it's hard for him to get a soul when you got a house full of praying warriors.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Warriors.
You know what I mean? So
it's
like
cannot exclude the prayer warriors.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's hard for him to get a soul when you always got wise counsel in your ear. When you always got Big Mama, you know, dropping you wise gems and pawpaw, you know, it's hard for him to get you like that because, you know, he tried to convince you to do something, but you went and talked to Big Mama and Papa about it, and they was like, son, that's a trap. Yep. Seen it before 1,000 times. And now you like, whoa, that may be a trap. Now you watching.
Hey, oh man, check this out. This is so deep. If y'all think about the pathology behind this, back then they listened. Why? Because the world was dangerous.
Yeah.
The world was dangerous for a Black individual, so you clung to your immediate family members for protection. Now they've made it seem as though the world ain't that dangerous. It ain't racist no more. That was back then. Now all the liberals got your back.
Yeah.
You know what Malcolm say about the liberals.
Yeah.
But anyway, all the liberals got your back. So now you can go out there and leave from your immediate kinfolk, and you'll be all good because liberals got you.
Yeah.
What you don't realize is the liberals is ravenous wolves.
Sure live.
Ravenous wolves.
Not only that, but the picture of success that they paint for you is for you to go out and get your own, you know, become a homeowner, buy your own house, you know, move away from the country, move into the city. So that's the picture of success that we've been fed. When really, I agree with you all, we were more successful when we were together.
Yeah, because if about 15 of them Lewis would come out of that house on you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We one family. You mess with one, you mess with all of us.
You got a problem. You got a problem on your hands.
What'd you say, sis?
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. You know, you don't want to mess with them Lewises.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, though, and for both of y'all, Akoti Antoinette and Akoti Leslie, that's in this day and age, though, that's such a hard sell to the youth because of all of the things that they are being bombarded with. That unless they experience that in some way, they really can't identify. Like we were probably the last generation to experience that, and it was leaving. It was as it was fading away. We went in my family. We went. So I was born and raised in Chicago, but during the summers, my grandmother would put me on the Greyhound bus with her, and in the summertime, me and my grandmother would go and visit our family in Mississippi. And so we would go up on that hill where there was 3 different families. They all lived right next door to each other, but they all owned that land on that hill between Sardis and Batesville, Mississippi. And that was your auntie over there, and that was your cousin over there, and that's where I hung out. That was the first time I went to a juke joint. That was the first time I smoked. It was the first time I took a sip of alcohol. It was the first time I probably grabbed a girl's butt. All that stuff was down there in Mississippi. And
You ever
yeah, it was all with my family. But if you haven't experienced that, it's hard to really touch bases with that family unit like that. And here we are trying to reestablish that. And it's like, it's a hard sell, I believe.
I didn't know that's where you were from. My husband grew up in Mark.
And where?
Did you say Sardis, Mississippi?
No, Mark and Lambert. So when I go to
Lambert,
visit, we
Illinois.
go up
Yeah.
to the Cracker Barrel in Batesville. No, Mississippi.
Oh, Lambert, Mississippi.
It's by Batesville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. By Batesville, Sardis. Yeah. So we go to Batesville when we.
I said you chewed some snuff.
I did. When I was, and I got sick. I did. I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and I snuck my grandmother's snuff.
Your grandmama snuff?
My grandmother's snuff. I sure did. I got sick as a
I thought you were about to
dog.
say your granddaddy snuff.
My grandmother,
Your
she ain't had no
grandmama's
teeth. She chewed that stuff, and she
Listen, my great grandmother used to do snuff. That was nasty.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't mess around and mistakenly touch that bucket. Your whole day
Your
ruined.
bucket was filthy.
Your whole day ruined. You just forget about it. You got nightmares. Oh my goodness.
She used to make me dump it. I used to be gagging like,
Sure did.
I made a mistake and put my hand, my friend's grandfather used to chew it. And I made a mistake, I was, it was crowded and I'm scooting over on the couch and, so I said, I'm gonna sit on the floor. Went sat on the floor and made a mistake and put my hand down in that snuff bucket. Boy, you could have just, look, let me tell you.
Now I'm gonna get a little bit off subject here, but I'm gonna tell you something about them women, cause that grandmother that chewed that snuff used to take her children and her grandchildren fishing, and she was the type of woman that I remember. I heard a story about them crossing somebody else's property, and it was a bull in that property, and they had to run and escape that bull. And my grandmother told them they better get it, and she ran and jumped that fence to get away from that bull. That's my mother's side of the family. My father's side of the family, they from Arkansas, and there's these other stories about my father and my uncle, because they was bad. My father, uncle, and they friends. What's wrong?
What's the code?
Okay. No, leave it for now. So my father and my uncle and them, and I'm sure they'll see this because my grandmother watched these videos. My father, they call him Mickey. My uncle, I forget his nickname. And then they had a close friend that they called Bear. But when he was in trouble, they called him Joey. So if he was in trouble and somebody say Joey, he knew he was in trouble. They was out kicking it in the neighborhood in Chicago. And I don't know what they was doing, but my grandmother was looking for them. And whatever they was doing, somebody looked up and say, Mickey, your mama looking for you. And they were so bad. They were so bad. They say they didn't ask what for. They just started running. Soon as they said your mama looking for it, they took off running. They said they was running, and even they'll say this. And they turn around and look behind them, and there was Grandma Loretta right behind them. Skirt hiked up in one hand, running behind them. And so they hopping fences, thinking they finna get away. They hop fence, hop another fence, turn around, look behind them. There she is right behind them, hopping fences. I say, doggone. It was a different breed of woman back then.
Oh yeah. So see, the way I look at it, I look at it like this. Okay, all right. Let me tell you something. When you come home, bro, you gonna walk into a surprise.
No, I think she got that ass right then and there.
Oh my goodness.
I think she got it right then and there. Yep. Anyway, y'all, going back down memory lane.
They had a saying back then. They got down where they got mad at.
Say that again now. They got down where they got mad at.
That's right.
Yep.
You get it.
Yes, if you acted a fool in the store, you got your butt beat right there in the store.
Right there on the spot.
You get it where you give it.
That's right. You get it where you give it. I like that. Got down where they got mad at.
That's for all these Karens got to. You can't hit that child.
Where Coty Joy at? Where Coty Gilead at?
You can't hit that child.
Coty Gilead bot, she ain't in here. Coty Gilead bot told us she was doing this parenting that's called gentle parenting. I say, what is that? She said, whatever. She told us what it is. She said, but I gave it up. I said, I bet you did.
Let me tell you something. That story that you was talking about your grandmother with your uncles, I done did that with my own kids. That's why I'm laughing. Because my kids, they was like, to this day, people ask them like, why y'all scared of your mama? They like, my mama don't play. Okay? To this day, I plays no games. Period.
If you want your children to have at least a chance to make it in this world, you got to parent. Because the world is telling you don't have to parent. The world is telling you don't do this, don't do that. And then when your child get out there and act a plumb fool, then they want to look at you like, oh, why are they acting like this? And it's like, well, because you handcuffed me. Well, because you handcuffed them, because they can't handcuff me.
I tell you what, he robbed the bank. It's because I put him in timeout instead of putting my foot up his butt.
Right. Stop.
That's where spare the rod, spoil the child come from.
100%, sis.
And you know it's the devil. It's the devil. Like he's creating. Let me tell you something. Y'all remember that movie, Devil's Advocate, when he say, "Who can deny the 20th century is all mine?"
Right.
Man, look, who can deny Generation Z was all his?
Yep.
He put a lot of work into Generation Z.
Yep.
A lot of work went into this generation.
And look,
baby,
just to tie it, because you brought up spare the rod, spoil the child. I'm glad you did. Just to tie that back completely with scripture. Being an agricultural people, scripture constantly tell us about things that are of no use. So when we talk about separating the reap from the rye, or the darnel from the wheat, we're talking about something that has no use for the Heavenly Father. So if something is spoiled, literally spoiled food, what you do with it?
Get rid of it.
You throw it out. Right? That darnel.
Yeah.
When we look at Revelations, when the wheat is separated from what looked like wheat but was not wheat and had no use, it's cast into the fire. So when that scripture say, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child, it's literally telling you that you're committing your child to the fire. Because you did not discipline them in a way that they adhere to righteousness. So if you render your child as of no use, you might as well be sacrificing them to Molech. You commit them to the flames. right? So like we could let our children dictate, well, my child ain't really feeling not celebrating Christmas. You know, my child ain't really feeling not eating pork. Okay, so your child making the decisions. That's what you're telling me. Well, when did we start letting our children make the decisions?
Right.
We supposed to train up a child in the way.
That's just like I have some friends who I used to teach school. Yeah. I used to teach school, and I still talk with some of my, friends that are teachers and stuff. And one of the things that she was making an observation on is that nowadays a lot of kids are coming to school, she said, smelling like weed. She said, because the parents are, I guess they having a more joy on the way to taking the kids to school.
I believe it.
I'm like, wow.
And weed is being decriminalized and is being propagated as something that is okay. They're beginning to tell us through the media that this is something that should be looked at as harmless.
Yeah, but you ain't supposed to smoke it around your little baby in a car. The way weed is smoked, it's smoked with the windows up. Because if you let down the windows, you wasting the whole bag of weed. So you riding with your little 3-year-old on the way to preschool.
Hot boxing.
The 3-year-old get to school hungry, want some cookies and stuff before snack time. Well, that's because that baby got the munchies.
But that stuff been going on though.
Yes, it
sure has.
Sure has.
A lot of the kids are smoking now.
But that as far as kids, because even when I was in, living that type of life or whatever, my friends used to laugh at me because I kept it away from my kids.
Yeah.
And them, they sitting up in there and kid passing the mama to the next person.
Right.
Like that.
That's out of order.
That's why a lot of these kids are smoking weed now.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
Because they learn it from their parents.
Yeah.
And it's in their system.
And that when I that lifestyle, big fear. And my friends that used to laugh at me to be like, girl, what closet? Because I literally used to go smoke in the closet.
Said she was better than me because I didn't do that. And again, just that testimony. We had to have a teacher come to us and tell us that our oldest child revealed to her, not explicitly, but she understood what the child was saying, that we must smoke weed. What she tell the teacher?
Wait, hold on. Now we weren't smoking we weren't hotboxing our children.
We wasn't.
But they may have seen us. She told the teacher, okay.
It was more so me than her.
Yeah.
I was the weed smoker.
She told the teacher, my parents smoked the skinny cigarettes. And so
the funny smelling.
The funny smelling cigarettes. The teacher said she stood up in front of the whole class and made an announcement, a public announcement. Attention everyone, my parents smoked the skinny cigarettes.
Yep.
And so the teacher, we came to pick her up, and the teacher was like, can I speak with you, please?
And she didn't have to do that, and I appreciate that.
She did.
She pulled us to the side.
And she was like, we should watch what we do in front of our, kindergarten? In front of our kindergartner, because obviously she feels the need to announce to everybody that you smoke the skinny cigarettes. So me, I'm like, she could have been talking about the Virginia Slim menthols I smoked. And she was like, she wasn't.
Fine. It was just keeping it real. We was young, dumb. We was young, dumb parents, and it was an older Hebrew lady. She didn't know she was. I don't know if she knew she was Hebrew or not.
Yeah.
But it was an older Hebrew that was a teacher that took compassion on us, and it was That was and she was like, "Look, you got to do better." That's basically what she was telling us. She was like, said. "You young parents, y'all got to do better."
We was like 20, and then she told us that we needed to discipline our child.
She sure did.
She said, she
sure
she
did.
said, I know you new age parents don't believe in getting in that butt, but your child threw a chair across the room today, and she need to be
whooped.
And I was like, excuse me. She was like, she needs a whooping. Look, she said she tried to take some chapstick from her or something. Some chapstick that the little
was the lipstick she snuck up.
She snuck out the house.
Yeah.
And she up there showing her friends the stuff, and the teacher tried to take it from her. She said when she got close to it, she tossed a chair at her. And I'm like, not my baby. Not my child. She was like, your child.
Yeah. No, all the teachers ain't lying.
All the teachers ain't lying.
They ain't all lying. She 21-year-old now. She finna be 22 talking about all these teachers was lying on me. They wasn't all lying.
You know, your firstborn, you know, the first child, you don't really know how to really, I don't know, you know, we was young, 20, 21, we was young. Your first child, you don't really know how to really, you know, it took people like telling us this isn't normal. Get control. You know, that's when we got you. By the time the second and third baby, forget about it, was a wrap. We was professionals.
Well, we still working on that. I'm still looking at y'all that got children older than us because I'm about to have a nervous breakdown trying to put them through college. Pray for your boy. Pray for the kid.
Send help.
Send help. Help, Wasabi.
When we gonna start reading?
Let's start.
It's like,
well, I just want to tell you, it don't get any easier when they get older.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Who said that? Who was that? Who said that?
Cousin Christina. Cousin
Christine, it don't get any easier. My child is 36 years old.
No.
36. And it's still, it don't get any easier.
I believe you, Cole, because you ain't the only one that told us that. It's just, I'm like, really?
Don't say that.
We had our plans and our desires set on. Once the last one was through college, we was gonna take our time and reacquaint each other with each other.
We was gonna get to know each other again. You know what I'm
Travel and all that. If y'all ain't called us home yet.
No.
Nope.
You really need to.
I second that emotion. 25 and 24. I second that emotion.
Wow. Look, that's when the first one gonna come back with her baby.
No. And we gonna bring them, drop them off with you, big sis.
Let me tell you something. Look, you did, man.
We need all of y'all as a support system. All of y'all prayer warriors. We got to pray for each other.
I fantasize about the day in which I could say, babe, let's just go. Babe, let's just go. I fantasize about that day. Y'all don't even know. Without having to be like, did you brush your teeth? Did you wash your hair? Do you have underwear on? Get some underwear on. Oh my goodness.
Go back in there and use soap.
Soap.
Why is that soap still dry?
Why are you up there?
Put some deodorant on.
Did that make sense to you? When you climbed up there, you thought that was a good idea? Now how you gonna get down?
Right.
She's my 33.
Oh, you're 23-year-old? Wow.
It's 23-year-old. Just move back.
Okay.
Precious heart.
Well, we're going to keep y'all in our prayers, and we ask y'all to keep us in yours, please.
Yeah.
And I'm so sincere.
Yeah.
I'm so sincere. All right, y'all. So we'll say we drawing this out.
I mean, it's going to be 10
giving
o'clock.
y'all the woes of our personal situation.
We ain't even read nothing.
So we're picking up in Numbers chapter 13.
All right. We finna bump back into Balaam, ain't we?
More than likely, you know, he don't go too far.
No, he never do he?
All right, so Numbers chapter 13.
Okay.
You there?
I'm here.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
All right, let's do it. It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, send men to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the children of Yashrael. Send one man from each tribe of their fathers, everyone a leader among them. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me apologize right now in advance, Salakia, because I'm finna derail this. I was listening to a brother give a testimony. One of the brothers that we was with at the event at the Hebrew Wall Street. Another brother that he know, they was on the way to hook up, and they was talking in the car on the way to where they was going, and he spoke about something like this, and I was like, that's awesome. This says, Yahuwah says, he sent men to spy out the land of Canaan, which he was given to the children of Israel. So this is what he was saying, right? He was like, it hit me different. I had read that before, but when I read it this time, he said, it hit me different when I realized that the Heavenly Father was spying out a land to give to us. He says in more than one place, in the only place, he spied out. He said, the way that struck me was he did the due diligence on something that was going to be perfect for me. And in that, he got something set up. And in our own travels, sometimes we can be doing our own thing and then wonder why things ain't going correctly. When what he had for us, what he has surveyed and procured for us is perfect, is over here, but we doing something else.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man, that's an excellent point.
Yes, it is.
To understand that what he have set up for us, he took his time, like house shopping.
Yeah.
He took his time and was like, no, that ain't a good place for the apple of my eye.
Right.
No, that ain't a good place for the apple of my eye. This, for those who I am choosing to adorn, this is what I want for them right here.
Right.
And I got this set up for you. All you got to do is claim it.
And you know it was a good spot because the most powerful beings, the most powerful earthly beings, had set up camp right there. The land was full of giants.
It's trying to steal it.
Yeah. Because you know their father told them where the best spot was.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they was all camped. That's where they was at.
Okay. Yep. And even in our daily, it's like if we looking at our daily walks and asking ourselves why the individual things we doing ain't going well. What is this? Are we doing what he have in mind for us individually?
Absolutely.
Because if we doing what he have in mind for us, what he have spied out for us individually, then it should be going well.
Absolutely. Think about Messiah said. Messiah asked Abiyah, he prayed. A lot of people don't know this, but he prayed and asked for the burden of dying to be taken away from him. He said, but not my will be done, but your will be done. So even in that, even in my life, even in, whether or not I live or die, let your will be done.
And that's the ultimate.
Period. I be thinking about, I be out in the street and I be having these what if this happened moments in my head, you know. And the only thing I can ever say is Yah's will be done.
Okay.
If a Mack truck slam into me right now, only Yah's will be done. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So he said, and by the mouth of Yahuwah, Moshe sent them from the wilderness of Haran, all of the men who were heads of the children of Israel. And these were their names from the tribe of Reuben. Shemua, son of Zakur, from the tribe of Shimon. Shaphat, son of Hori, from the tribe of Yehuda. Caleb, son of Zephanuah, or Yepanua, from the tribe of Issachar. Gilgal, son of Yosef, from the tribe of Ephraim. Hoshea, son of Nun, from the tribe of Benjamin. Palti, son of Raphu, from the tribe of Zebulun. Gadiel, son of Sodi, from the tribe of Yosef. from the tribe of Yosef. From the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, son of Susi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, son of Gamali. From the tribe of Asher, Shuther, son of Mikael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi, son of Wapsi. From the tribe of Gad, Guel, son of Makai. These are the names of the men whom Moshe sent to spy out the land. And Moshe called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Yahusha. Moshe called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Yahusha. And Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up here into the south and go up to the mountains and see what the land is like. Okay, do y'all remember that when the covenant was made with Abraham for a particular land that him and his descendants would inherit, that particular land was then taken over by Canaan. Canaan, who was the son of Ham, is that correct?
Yes.
And all of his descendants. So the land that in this time period is called Canaan is the same land that we in this time period today call Israel.
So think about this. Canaan, that same strange birth.
Right.
Canaan, the one that Noah cursed,
Right.
has been a thorn in our side ever since.
That's right.
That's that seed, that strange seed that Noah cursed.
That's right. Yep. And so he sent them to spy out the land that was destined to be theirs because of the promise made to Abraham, even though the Canaanites were occupying it. So he said, spy out that land and see what it's like. And see what the people who dwell in it, whether they are strong or weak, and whether they are few or many. That's the end of verse 18, verse 19. And whether the land they dwell in is good or evil, whether the cities they inhabit are in camps or strongholds. So we're talking about warfare terms now. And whether the land is rich or poor, whether there are forests there or not. And you shall be strong and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season of the first fruits of grapes. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Sin.
Hi, it's your phone speaking. You have a new message.
As far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath. And they went up through the south and came to Hebron. And Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were there. Should I pause?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says that when they went to spy out this land, that Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, were there.
Y'all should know what that name is. Anytime you hear that, you should know what that name means.
So if we was to go back to, again, Genesis 6, and we read about the Nephilim, and if I was to remind y'all, for those of you who don't remember, that the Nephilim were the children of the fallen angels and humans, right? So of those children, there was at some point a class or a descendant of some that was called Anaki, or you may have heard the term Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki would be the descendants of Anak. And here we're reading about the descendants of Anak, and we read some specific names, and they were, again, Ahiman, Shishai, Talmai. These are the descendants of Anak. They will be referred to as Anunnaki.
Now,
if y'all are fans of Star Wars, you may be familiar with Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
Anakin, who before Luke was called a Skywalker. A Skywalker, as in someone who dwelt in the heavens, but then at some point was able to dwell on the earth. So the writers of those stories, again, I'm just referring y'all to those as a reference point. The writers of those stories are familiar with these because most of them were Ashkenazi. And so they're familiar with these and they put them in the things that they write and present to you or repackage and present to you in Hollywood. Anakin was a descendant of Anak.
So I'm telling you what this had to look like.
Mm-hmm.
When they got there, the descendants of Anak, this place didn't look like anything you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
These were giants, giants.
Yep.
And they ruled this land. And they had servants. And everything in this land was made for them, made to fit them. And so you think about, we was talking about how remember I told you the earth has been changed, and the way that it used to look has been hidden from us. But you get clues. So remember we was reading about Judah, the Testament of Judah. And when he went and kicked open that pyramid, the door to where Joseph was held up, and it said that the door was how many feet in the air? The world was built back then to accommodate the giants.
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? Everything, everything was built to accommodate a giant or two. You know what I mean? They were the rulers of the earth in that day. And I know they try to cover it up, but it's true.
Absolutely. I'm going to come back to that. We'll come back to Hosea. Okay. So these are the sons of Anak. If y'all watch the History Channel, Ancient Aliens and all that, they talk about the Anunnaki all the time. When you hear the word Anunnaki, you should understand that these are the sons of Anak, the fallen. Okay. 23, verse 23. And they came to the Wadi Eshkol and cut down from there a branch with one cluster of grapes. They cut down one branch with one cluster of grapes. This is going to tie into what Red was just saying. It says one cluster of grapes. And they bore it between two of them on a pole. Listen, y'all. They took one branch with one cluster of grapes and put it on a pole to carry. And now one pole on my shoulder and one pole on her shoulder to carry one cluster of grapes. Okay. And it says also of the pomegranate and of the figs. That place was called the Wadi Eshkol because of the cluster which the men of Israel cut down there. And they returned from spying out the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moshe and Aharon and all the congregation of the children of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. And they brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they reported to him and said, we went to the land where you sent us, and truly it does flow with milk and honey. And this is its fruit. It's good land. But the people who dwelt in the land are strong, and the cities are walled, very great. And we saw the descendants of Anak there too, the Amalekites. Now, here we see that the Amalekites have obviously mixed in with the sons of Anak. That's what it says. The descendants of Anak, the Amalekites,
and the Hittites
dwell in the land of the south,
which was who Edom prayer with.
While the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains. Now, I'm going to pause here, y'all, because when we read about all of the laws that say we shouldn't mix with specific nations, very specific say, do not. Absolutely. We're not talking about the ones, and this is very important for your understanding. We're not talking about the nations that scriptures say if you mix in with them, if you breathe back in 2 to 3 generations, you're good. We're talking about the ones that he say they were confederate against us.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So now you read these specific names, the Amalekites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites. And it says, what about them was the problem? They've mixed in and inbred with the sons of Anak. These were Nephilim. So now you're breeding. If you was to breed with them, you would then be commingling your DNA and your seed with their seed, thereby mingling your seed with the sons of Anak. You'll be commingling your DNA with Nephilim.
This is what pre-flood people got in trouble for.
This is what those that were before the flood got in trouble for, and why scripture said Noah was perfect in his genealogy, in his generation, in his DNA. His DNA was not tainted. We'll go with tainted.
Tainted.
His DNA was not tainted with that Nephilim DNA. That's what it was saying.
Remember, I say you have several different kind of fleshes. You got the flesh of man.
Okay.
You got the flesh of the Malachim.
Okay.
You got the flesh of fish. These fleshes shall not mingle. They shall not mix.
Okay.
He should know he made all these fleshes.
Okay.
So we're dealing with something where the flesh of man and the flesh of angel have mixed. It's like saying he half man, half fish. I mean,
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I was not pleased with that. And so that's why he specified these people. These are the same ones listed in Psalms, when you go to Psalms 81 or 82.
Confederate.
When it says they are confederate against us.
And you see why now? Because they had been in that land. How long had they been in that land? Since Noah? They felt like that land was theirs.
They knew whose land that was, and they did not want us to come and reclaim that land that was promised to Abraham. So this is before Israel. They knew whose land this was before Israel was ever born. And they never wanted us to come back and claim that land. Been confederate against us. Okay. 30. And Caleb, I'm going to finish 29 first. And the Canaanites dwelt by the sea along the banks of the garden, or the Jordan. And Caleb silenced the people before Moshe and said, let us go up at once and take possession. We are certainly able to overcome. So they was whining about it. The way they was talking about it let Caleb know that they was fixing their mouth to say, we shouldn't do this.
It can't be done.
It can't be done. He cut them off. Said, no. Y'all need to shut up. This is doable. Let us go up right now. If y'all say it's doable, we can do it right now.
See, what people don't know, Yahusha led the charge. With Hosea, who Moses named Yahusha.
Yep.
He was the leader. But Caleb was about that life.
Caleb was definitely about that life.
Yeah, Yahusha was like a scholar. You know, he spent his whole life following Moses around, writing down. He was Moses' servant from like way back.
Yeah.
So we read about Moses.
Yeah.
We read about Moses fleeing into the woods, into the wilderness. Most of the time, the servants ain't mentioned.
Yeah.
But he would have had a servant with him.
Yeah.
So Caleb, Yahusha,
understudy.
Right, had been his servant forever.
Protege. Yeah.
Since Hosea or Yahusha was little.
Yep.
So he's been following Moses his whole life, taking notes and doing whatever Moses needed him to do, right? Now Moses comes to him and say, eventually, we ain't got there yet, but you need to lead this charge. And he like, me? No, I write books. That's what I do.
Right.
But Caleb was always about it. Caleb like, man, come on, man, stop with this. Let's do it.
And so this is as good a time as any. So when we read about in the so-called New Testament, when they walking through the streets with the palms, saying Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna to the King, that Hosanna in the so-called New Testament is Hosea. Hosanna, Hosea, same name. What does that mean? I'm going to take y'all to the Strong's Concordance real quick, because Hosea was the son of Nun. Before he was known as Joshua, son of Nun, he was known as Hosea, son of Nun. Hosea, H 1954. Hosea, deliverer. Hosea, the name of 5 Israelites, Hosea, Hosea, and O'Shea. So if you read that name as O'Shea, it's the same name. It says it comes from H 3467. 3467. Properly to be open, to be wide, to be free, delivered. To be free and to be delivered means the same thing. That is, by implication, to be safe. Causatively, to be free or secure. At all. Avenging. This is all things is gonna happen at the time of our deliverance. Avenging, defend, deliver, help, preserve. We're gonna be preserved at that time by the one who they talking about, Hosea to the king. Rescue, to be safe, to bring salvation, to save, to get victory. So his name before he was even called Yahusha, because Moshe is the one that called him Yahusha. Moshe was a prophet. Moshe spoke and dealt face to face with the Ruach, right? Moshe knew what was going on and called Hosea Yahusha. It's like, no, let's be more specific.
Yes.
Not only are you a deliverer, you are Yahuwah's deliverance.
Yeah.
And what did Hosea, Yahusha, what did he wind up doing? He wound up leading the nation of Israel into the kingdom of Israel, physically on this plane of existence.
Yep. Because when we read his story, you're gonna see well, my man went from being meek,
an introvert,
meek as a lamb, to an avenging lion. I mean, it got so good to that brother. You know, that brother walked up on the angel, man, and pulled his sword. Like, you know, you need to tell me now if you friend or foe.
So against us,
Because if not, man, I'm finna mow through you. And the angel like, wait, first of all, player, check yourself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Boop. Pipe down a little bit, pal.
See, you talking to the captain of the host.
Right. You know what I'm saying? You may not have known that.
But I'm going to give you this opportunity to bow down.
Yeah, and Hosea hit his knees, boy.
Real quick.
My bad. I didn't know. Now I know. You know.
That's right. That's right. Okay. All right. 31. But the men who had gone up with Caleb said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel an evil report of the land. This was evil to Yah because Yah said, I'm with you. So for them to contradict that was wickedness. Saying, the land through which we have gone as spies is a land eating up its inhabitants. It's a land eating up its inhabitants. Think about them giants, y'all. Eating up its inhabitants. And all the people whom we saw in it are like men of great size, giants. And we saw there the Nephilim, sons of Anak. If y'all thought it was just us saying it, there you go. If you need to get back to it, Numbers chapter 13, verse 33. And we saw there the Nephilim, corresponds with Genesis 6, sons of Anak, of the Nephilim. So Anak was of the Nephilim too. And we were like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we were in their eyes. This is how small we were. They were so big that to us, we must have looked like grasshoppers, and to them, we absolutely look like grasshoppers. Our knees is knocking.
Yeah.
Please don't make us try to do this.
Just think when we hold up some grapes, grapes in our hand like this. The giants was able to hold up grapes in their hand like this, but the bros, and these weren't no small men.
No.
It took 2 of them to carry some grapes that the giants,
one cluster of grapes,
was able to hold like this, feed me,
They said that the grapes were as big as their heads.
One grape.
One grape.
You know, so what's your head to a giant but a grape?
Yep.
Pop it in their
Just
mouth.
like that.
You know what I'm saying? But Caleb was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And there was only 2 of them that had that spirit.
Yep.
But we're going to read about it. Chapter 14.
Okay. Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel grumbled against Moses and against Aharon. And all the congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Mizraim. If only we had died in this wilderness. And why is Yahuwah bringing us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become a prey? Would it not be better for us to turn back to Mizraim? Turn back. Like Lot's wife.
I want y'all to remember this because when you read later on that it was only 2 people that was above the age of 21 who made it to the kingdom, this is why.
This is why.
It was only 2 people who had a spirit in them that said, Yah's with us, we're going with Yah. Yep. Outside of Moses.
This is why I don't like lukewarmness.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Your heart never left Mizraim.
That's right.
You know, you could so easily turn back. And they said to each other, let us appoint a leader and let us turn back to Mizraim.
What?
Then Moses and Aharon fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Yahusha, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments. And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. If Yahuwah has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahuwah, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them. Okay, let me explain to you what he just said. Their defense has turned away from them, and Yahuwah is with us.
Yep.
So you ever heard that term, the battle is already won?
Yep.
The battle has been won on the spiritual.
It's already been given.
It's already been given to you. So they knew that the Malachim had already fought in the heavens for that land. So them without them, anything without its power is nothing. Us without our power is nothing.
Nothing.
Them without their power is nothing.
Nothing.
They knew that their power had already been defeated by our power. Remember who Abiyah appointed over us? Micaiah. So if Micaiah rolling out, trust. It's a wrap. It was already a wrap, you know?
And I'm gonna give y'all a spoiler. I'm gonna give y'all a spoiler because that's why we're doing this. To add to our reading what we already know. So scripture says that the spirit that was on Joshua and the spirit that was on Caleb was different than the spirit that was on everybody else outside of Moses. And so what it's essentially saying, and if you could just tell by the way they reacted, it was, in our eyes, in this day and age, we would look at it as simply somebody being hesitant, like, I'm not sure, I ain't sure. But to them, it was so wicked for them to be like, I'm not sure, that they was literally tearing their clothes. Like, oh my goodness,
Man, them brothers was mad.
You are coming against Yah. He has given us this. He has told us he is with us. You gonna piss him off by not being sure. Like, where is your faith? Where you at? They feared
Yah. They didn't fear them giants.
They didn't fear the giants, and they didn't fear the masses of the people.
No.
That was looking at them like, we ain't sure. They didn't fear none of that. They was like, if Yah is with us,
who can be
they ain't against us, and you niggas ain't against us either. And if we got to smite y'all all, if that's what he say do, then blood will flow. There will be blood.
Caleb and Yahusha were the younger generation. So, Moses was old and tired of the bruise by this point. But Caleb and Yahusha was like, man, we finna, man, line them up against the wall.
Yeah.
Close the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Don't have Abiyah turn against us.
This what we're reading here is a testimony about faith. This is testimony about belief
Mm-hmm.
that if Yahuwah tell you something,
Yep.
it will be what he said.
Yep.
Learning to hear his voice and learning to be in alignment and in unison with whatever he's saying do, whether you understand it or not.
Yep.
If it's what he say do, that's the direction we need to be moving in.
Roll with it.
Because there can be a situation where there is a window of opportunity that if he say move, you move, you dip, dive, and roll, and you slide under that closing door.
Absolutely.
Just as that door closed. And if you didn't move and if you hesitated, you did not get where you needed to be. And therefore you either cut off or just didn't make it, however that looks, right?
Yeah.
And so we're giving these testimonies so that we can see it and know and check ourselves when that time comes. And check ourselves in our daily walks as well.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
Build up your faith. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna lie. When I first came into this walk, faith was my issue.
Mm-hmm.
I had trust issues anyway. You know what I'm saying? I trust myself. And that was the person I trusted. You know what I'm saying? And so when I first came into this walk, I had to learn how to trust my husband. I had to learn how to trust the Heavenly Father. And it was painful. It was painful. And Abiyai kept taking me through the same thing until I learned to trust him. I mean, like, I didn't move past that level. It was not like, I mean, the same pain I went through over and over again until it finally clicked, like, I'm being punished because of my lack of trust. You know, and when I start trusting the Father, then my eyes was open, like, I started trusting my husband. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Just, you know what I mean?
And I know that's a big one for you sisters as well, if you have husbands. Because the question is, do I trust that my husband is doing the right thing or saying the right thing or teaching the right thing or leading the right way? And so, and that was the hurdle. Trust Yah. Trust Yah. And then trust that Yah is going to tighten your husband up.
Exactly. Yep.
And trust that if your husband don't tighten your husband up, trust that if your husband don't tighten up the way y'all want him to, he will be reprimanded by y'all. And so this is the way you got to look at it, right? I go back to Adam and Eve. Adam was Yahuwah's son, but so was Eve. And so you got to understand that if you believe you are a daughter of the Heavenly Father, your father ain't going to leave you out there without protection, right? If you trust in your father, if the husband of yours ain't doing what he's supposed to do, will correct the situation.
Absolutely.
You do what y'all said do.
Yep.
Don't cause what your husband doing or not doing to cause you not to do what you're supposed to do. And it go the same way for me. Don't cause what your wife doing or not doing to cause you not to do what you're supposed to do. If you see she doing something wrong and your role as the head of the household is to tell her, you tell her. If she chooses to disobey you, trust that the Heavenly Father will correct her too.
Absolutely.
You ain't got to put your hands on it. You ain't got to turn your pinky ring to the left and come.
What?
You ain't got to do that.
Mike, you really got into that, didn't you?
You ain't got to do that.
I pray you ain't got to do that. Oh my goodness.
Some people do that.
Some people do that.
Let's not act like it ain't women out there to be abused. What's that boy name used to abuse?
Wait, stop saying that. What you said?
She used to abuse one of her boyfriends. So don't act like spousal abuse don't go two ways.
I can't believe you said this on national
How many of your ex-boyfriends did you abuse?
Oh, why you put her out there? Like, what makes you think she abused?
You know what?
Y'all got a similar spirit.
Why you do that?
Listen here. I ain't abused nobody. I ain't abused nobody, but I am known to defend myself to a certain max. You know, a couple of stabbings, you know, a car involved in one incident, but I'm just saying.
Somebody say she from Flint, she don't play.
I believe it. I believe it. Who was that? Was that
That's Dawid.
Angela or Dawid?
Dawid.
I believe it. I believe
She
it. And you
from
should
Flint.
defend yourself. As she should defend. You should defend yourself.
And that's
But yeah.
all I was doing was defending myself. That's it. What we picking up at?
Okay.
Who's reading? Is it am I reading?
It's your turn. We're picking up what you're reading.
Okay, all right. Could you tell me what verse we
All right. Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces. 5.
Okay. Then Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahushua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments.
Mm-hmm.
And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land.
Mm-hmm.
If Yahuwah has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into this land and give it to us.
That's it.
A land which is flowing with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahuwah, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them.
Okay, that's what he left off.
All right. Okay. And Yahuwah is with us.
It says they are our bread.
They are our bread. We're going to eat them up.
Think on that. Yeah.
Do not fear them. But all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Goodness gracious. They
said stone Caleb and Joshua.
They're like, dude, we finna kill you. But okay. Then the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the tent of appointment before all the children of Israel.
Before they stoned them.
Wow.
Because they was working themselves up to kill Caleb and Joshua.
Wow.
So when it says the esteem of Yahuwah appeared, we're talking about the Ruach. We're talking about that pillar of cloud or smoke that filled the tent to the point where nobody could be in it except for maybe Moses at that point. So hold on, stop. Wait a minute. What y'all doing?
And Yahuwah said to Moses, how long shall I be scorned by these people? And how long shall I not be trusted by them? With all the signs which I have done in their midst.
And this begins a repetitive nature of Israel flying in the face of y'all and y'all saying, have you not remembered all the things I've done to you up to this point?
Yep.
Like repeatedly, let me recount the things I've done for you. And you still... This is a husband. This is a husband saying to his wife,
trust me, baby.
How many times do I have to illustrate to you that I got you? How many times do I have to show you that I'm taking care of this? How many times do I have to show you I'm not going to let anything happen to you? How many times do I have to show you that it's me and you?
I think my husband must have said that to me.
That's why I took that deep breath before I said it. I didn't want to make it about me and you.
Oh my God, I can't hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Before, and who knew it took trusting the Heavenly Father to be able to trust him.
Right.
Let me strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them and make of you a nation greater and mightier than they.
So he said, I'm going to kill them all and I'll start over with you, Moses. This is what I'm finna do. Okay.
You take your gal, y'all got 2 sons, we'll start there.
Yeah.
And Moses said to Yahuwah, then the Mizrahites.
Sick of it.
And now Moses tired too, but Moses came back and said, then the Mizrahites shall hear it, for by your power you brought these people up from their midst. And they shall say to the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, Yahuwah, are in the midst of these people, that you, Yahuwah, are seen eye to eye, and that your cloud stands above them. And you go before them in a column of cloud by day, and in a column of fire by night. Now, if you shall kill these people as one man, then the nations which have heard of your report shall speak, saying, because Yahuwah was not able to bring these people out of the land which he swore to give them, therefore he slew them in the wilderness.
Pause for a second. And so Moses is basically saying, you've already made this covenant with these people. And if you don't follow through with this covenant, then the nations around is going to say you're not who you say you are.
You weak.
Now, the question is, do we think that who was speaking to Moses ever planned not to hold up his end of this agreement? I don't think so either. I think that this was an opportunity to test Moses to see if he was going to step up to his job. Yeah. Moses was the intercessor between the nation of Israel and the Heavenly Father. Yeah. And so if y'all have heard this term similitude, so we talk about similitudes of Messiah. Mm-hmm. Joseph at one point was a similitude of Messiah. Solomon at one point was a similitude of Messiah. Several of the prophets were similitudes of Messiah. Here we are witnessing a intervention just as Messiah intervened on our behalf. Abraham did the same thing as well. Abraham intervened on behalf of his people even before they was his people. Mm-hmm. And so we clearly get an illustration of what the intercessor's role is. And it's the same exact thing that Messiah will come and do later when we clearly were not worthy of anything. And Messiah came in and said, look, let me work with them. You've already made these covenants. Let me work with them and see if I can get them in shape. And those who I'm able to get in shape,
good, beautiful.
And those who don't follow the program, what we say, spoiled, of no good use, what do we do with that? We cast them into the flame, right? Okay.
So also I think that Moses was tested like this several times.
Several times, you're right.
And it was when Moses failed his test that Abiyah say, well, now you failed.
I need to show an example.
You know, and so maybe, you know, Abiyah did
this is what separates Moses from Mashiach.
Yep. Abiyah did this because he knew the heart of Moses.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And Moses, and he needed Moses to be on point the whole time. Yep. And when Moses had finally got to the breaking point, see, Moses had the power to curse the children of Israel. Yep. Moses had the power to lead them to death.
Yep.
When he had finally got to that point where he was like, I'm ready to kill you niggas. I said, okay, Moses, bruh, okay. First of all, you know, and then that's when Moses died.
Yep.
Okay. Picking up at 17.
Okay.
And now I pray, let the power of Yahuwah be great, as you have spoken, saying, Yahuwah is patient and of great loving commitment, forgiving crookedness and transgressions, but by no means leaving unpunished. Remember what we was telling y'all? Although he forgive us, you know what I'm saying, we have had to pay for every sin we committed. Yeah. Yes, every one of them, from the biggest to the smallest. Yeah. Eating shellfish, eating pork, lying, stealing. You know, the little soft lie.
Not the little white lies.
Yeah, what?
Not the little white lies.
No, them devastating. Oh. No, you know, the little soft ones. You know, I was there. I swear. You know, but you was asleep. You know what I'm saying? Right. Every sin we have committed, we've had to pay for it. Every one of them. Visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation. Serious. Please forgive the crookedness of these people according to the greatness of your loving commitment, as you have forgiven these people from Misraim even until now.
If you ever talking to somebody and they use that phrase on you, that the God of the Old Testament was full of wrath and vengeance, and the God of the New Testament is full of love and mercy. Well, here I just read, and she just read 18, verse 18. Yahuwah is patient and of great loving commitment, forgiving crookedness and transgressions. So that sounds like mercy to me. Mm-hmm. That sounds like what they refer to as grace to me. Mm-hmm. He says, no, I'm going to punish. I mean, with our children, right? Yeah. We still punish. That don't mean we don't forgive them, but we punish them to correct them, right? To get them to understand, don't do that. No, we was just doling out push-ups and stuff today. This is to help you remember next time you don't do that.
Yeah, I got to do push-ups.
You remember that. Okay. It's not that there isn't mercy. It's just that we got to have the corrective attribute.
That corporal punishment is real.
It's real.
Man, it's real. And Yahuwah said, I shall forgive according to your word. There go that mercy again. Yep.
There we go.
But truly, as I live, and all the earth is filled with the esteem of Yahuwah. For none of these men who have seen my esteem and the signs which I did in Mizraim and in the wilderness, and have tried me now these 10 times, have disobeyed my voice, shall see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor any of those who scorned me to see it.
And my words is not going to fall to the ground empty.
Well, there you go.
There
There's
you
that
go.
punishment.
There you go.
But my servant Caleb, because he was about that life, no, because he was a different spirit in him, and has followed me completely, I shall bring into the land where he went, and his seed shall inherit it. Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are dwelling in the valley, turn back tomorrow and set out into the wilderness by the way of the Sea of Reeds.
I want y'all to just remember that what I told y'all before. You read it. It said Caleb had a different spirit in him. Caleb had a different spirit in him from them. So what spirit we need in us? The same spirit Caleb had.
Same spirit Caleb had.
All right.
You know, if I walk out here and I die, that was Yahuwah's will. Either way it go, it's Yahuwah's will. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses and to Aharon, saying, how long shall this evil congregation have this grumbling against me? I have heard the grumblings with the children of Israel are grumbling against me. Y'all remember this now? Y'all remember this. Say to them, as I live, declares Yahuwah, as you have spoken in my hearing, so do I to you. The carcasses of you who have grumbled against me are going to fall in this wilderness.
Wow.
All this is, so you think, look, if you think he ain't gonna hear it, you know, what does grumbling against him look like? Does it look like just, oh, you know, Yahuwah brought us out of Egypt to die? Or does it look like we sure had it good in Egypt, you remember? Before we set out here, you know, and as we supposed to be, I don't think we supposed to be living like this.
I'll even go as far as to say there's readings that tell us that when you do something, you're supposed to do it with good cheer.
Yep.
Like if you say you're going to do something for someone, you're supposed to do it with good cheer. That's part of what he's talking about. Like if you're contradicting those things that he lay out, that's considered grumbling against him. All of those things are considered grumbling against him.
Yep. So grumbling
Keeping
against
the Shabbat
his word.
with good cheer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh my good. The basketball game week is Friday night at what time?
Yeah.
Man, you know, my parents got me. You know, we do this Shabbat. You know,
Keeping the feast days with good cheer.
Man, I can't. Oh.
That was one of the ones I had to contend with. Even wearing tassels. In the beginning of our walk, I didn't want to wear tassels. I was like, no, what it look.
Not me. I was like, I'm gonna make something down to my ankle until I read where where they was.
But I was like, I don't know if I want to wear these tassels out in public, what people gonna think, what they gonna say. And I've always been a person that was big about not caring what people think. But for some reason, that's how you know it's a spirit. For some reason, I was like, I don't know if I want to do the tassels or the CCs or the fringes, whatever you want to call it.
I'm like, I'm making something. Remember, I got that big thick yarn. The bad boys, them first ones was like this thick. You remember, man? They was thick. They was heavy too. I'm like, how your tassels so heavy? Because everybody go see these. Then I read where is
they
it?
make their tassels
They make their
wide
tassels wide and long to drag. I'm like, oh my goodness! I just clipped them.
Make them drag the ground.
Clip my tassels. I don't want to be one of these fellas either. Okay.
I'm sorry, I stopped using it.
I don't even know what. Okay. Where are we? But the carcasses, okay. 30. No, we read that.
31.
The carcasses, we read that.
31.
And your son shall be, so we pick up 33.
Okay, 33. Yep, that's right.
Yep. And your sons shall be wanderers in the wilderness 40 years, and shall bear your whorings, until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness.
So he called grumblings against him whorings. Okay.
Because you kind of like you whoring in your spirit for something else, you know.
That's the definition.
According to the number of days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a day for a year, a day for a year. You are to bear your crookedness 40 years.
Why did they spend 40 years wandering in the wilderness? Because they spent 40 days spying out the land, and they grumbled against that.
They grumbled against
So the reason they spent 40 days wandering in the wilderness is because they sent them to spy out the land 40 days, and they grumbled against it. That's why they was 40 years in the desert. They didn't have to spend 40 years wandering in the desert. Ain't that something?
And you shall know my breaking off. I like breaking his foot off. Oh my goodness! Okay, I am Yahuwah.
You shall know when I break my foot off.
You shall know that I've broken something off. Okay, I am Yahuwah. I have spoken. I shall do this to all this evil congregation who are meeting against me. In this wilderness, they are consumed, and there they die. And the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing an evil report of the land, even those men who brought the evil report about the land died by the plague before Yahuwah. And those men who went to spy out the land, only Yahusha, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, remained alive. And when Moses spoke these words to all the children of Israel, the people mourned greatly. And they rose up early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, See, we have indeed sinned, but we shall go up to the place which Yahuwah have spoken of. But Moses said, Why do you now transgress the mouth of Yahuwah, since it does not prosper? He's like, you wasting your breath. Do not go up, lest you be smitten by your enemies, for Yahuwah is not in your midst. Oh boy, that's that you don't even want to hear that. You don't ever want to hear that. That's like,
you might as well be dead now.
It's far worse things to hear. You have cancer in every orifice of your body. Somebody broke into your bank account and stole and molested everything.
Can fix all that.
Somebody broke into your house and pooped all over the place. It's
like her.
Yeah.
In the middle of your bed.
Man, it's just so many worse things in life to hear.
That's
than
you's a filthy. You filthy. Yeah, it wasn't a dog. She pooped in that man's bed.
What's her name?
Heard. I don't call her full name, so don't you do it. On
she
the YouTube.
pooped in his bed.
Yes. That's some filthy Gentile stuff there.
Anyway, so you could have heard that. It's just so many. It's just so many things. Like anything else in life, you could have heard, which would have been better news than that. Name one thing, anything. The tornado came and swept away your whole family.
Because once you cut off, once your parent cut you off,
man,
you cut off.
You cut off. So Moses then told these people, he ain't with you. Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned away from Yahuwah. Yahuwah is not with you. Oh, he repeated it. I'm talking about, I've been right out there like, I ain't with them though. I told you, I'm not with you.
It's too late.
Oh,
it's too late.
Goodness. But they presumed.
No ins and outs.
Oh, they presumed to go up to the mountaintop, but neither the Ark of the Covenant or Yahuwah nor Moshe left the camp. So the Amalekites and the Canaanites who dwelt in that mountain came down and struck them and beat them down, even to, it's not funny, even to Hormah. Said they beat them down. That's just not funny.
It is what it is. If none of these wars that we ever went to, if Yahuwah wasn't with us, if he didn't first give us the okay that he was going to be with us, and the battle was given, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And the other nations around us began to notice that pattern.
Yep.
They began to know, and so they wouldn't want to go against us unless we was in sin, because they knew that if we was in sin, then the Most High wasn't with us, and therefore we was good to be taken captive.
Why you think they keep us in an unclean state in this land?
Right.
Because they know if they rise up against us, the women is prostitutes, the men is prostitutes.
Yep.
They full of unclean food.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We could defeat them.
And again, I submit to you that the whole reason that you see them creating, a space army, super soldiers, and all that stuff is because on the chance that you do wake up to who you are and come back to your heritage and do righteousness, they realize from history, and all they people know, they know who we are, even if you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
That if the Most High is with you, you're gonna be worse for them than Marvel superheroes.
Yep.
Like all that's nothing compared to what we read about in Jasher
and they,
you know, the Testament of 12 Patriarchs and all that.
They don't want to risk this news getting out either.
Yep.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I was watching this this show about this Gentile guy. I think he was Jewish. He went to speak to the Limba. You remember that?
Yes.
And the Limba is a tribe, African tribe in South Africa. Mm-hmm. And they proved to him that they were of the tribe of Levi.
I can't remember if it was Levi or Judah. I can't remember.
They proved to him that they were one of the tribes.
Sounds right.
Of the tribe of Levi. I want to say it was Levi. Mm. And at first, you know, he was like, you know, this skeptical. But he say, I'm gonna go research it. I know some of y'all probably seen the same documentary. He went. Yeah, that's what he looked like. He went and researched it, and come to find out, they was telling the truth.
Right.
So he goes back and talked to his rabbi, and he was asking his rabbi several questions that the rabbi answered. This is the Jewish rabbi in Israel, that he answered no problem. So then the man said, okay, well, I have another question for you. I went to meet some people called the Limba. The rabbi stiffened up, like he had already heard of them, right?
Obviously.
And he said, and they claim and have proven that they're of the lost tribe. And when I tell you, he couldn't even get lost tribe out his mouth before that rabbi was like, no, we don't discuss the lost tribe. We don't discuss it. We don't discuss. No, we don't. And so he kept trying to speak. And he was like, we don't speak of the lost tribe. Stop it. Shh. It's not done. It's not done. And just shut him down.
And that always reminds me of that scene in I want to say Wakanda. What's the name of the movie?
Wakanda.
Is it Wakanda?
Wakanda.
What was the name of the movie?
Wakanda. Black Panther.
That's
right.
Black Panther. What's the name of Wakanda? It always reminds me of the scene in Black Panther when the father of T'Challa. Yeah.
Is it T'Challa?
T'Challa. When his father tell him that the boy that they sold into slavery was their dirty little secret.
Sure did.
It always reminds me of the same thing. It's like you got to have both in concert with each other. You got to have one people to slide in and take the place of, and then you got to have people to sell them into the slavery.
Mm-hmm. Now, think about what they did to the brain screw they did to us with that movie Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
You had Killmonger,
right,
who was Judah,
right.
T'Challa, who was a Hamite,
right.
And Killmonger said, I'm gonna take my rightful place on the throne.
Right.
And the Hamite said, we don't do that here.
Who did you root for?
Who was y'all rooting for?
Right.
Y'all know y'all was out there Wakanda forever. Y'all look, Wakanda forever. Negroes getting gas. I'm sitting at the gas pump and this Negroes get out their car, Wakanda forever. Like, what you get, nigga? Get the gas and come on. Out there Wakanda forever. We trying to get a long line of people. and for months, that's how our people greeted each other. You know what I'm saying? Two black people get in an argument. You know how they ended that argument? Wakanda forever. That was it.
To me, it's humorous, but at the same time, it was a little depressing. I ain't gonna lie, it was a little depressing because I feel like our people will latch on to everything but the truth, and it's like you want to be royalty. But you are royalty, and instead of looking at your heritage, You want to latch on to somebody else's heritage, and it's like, come on, man. Do I need to get somebody that's pale faced with a British accent to tell you who you are for you to believe it?
That's probably what's gonna have to happen. I'm tell you something. My man said, I'd rather die with my ancestors that went down in the transatlantic slave trade
Sure
than
did.
stay here and coon out for you.
Yep. But he was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy.
Okay. So chapter 15. I'm gonna read to 21.
Okay.
It says, and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when you have come into the land of your dwellings, oh, this is a good one, which I am giving you, and you make an offering by fire to Yahuwah, an ascending offering, or a slaughter offering, to accomplish a vow, or as a voluntary offering, or in your appointed times, feast days, Moedim, to make a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah from the herd of the flocks. Then he who brings near his offering to Yahuwah shall bring near a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering. You prepare with the ascending offering or the slaughter offering for each lamb. My wife said that sounds like a recipe. Or for a ram, you prepare as a grain offering, it was 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with oil. Mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil. As a drink offering, you bring 1/3 of a hin of wine as a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And when you prepare a young bull as an ascending offering, or as a slaughtering to accomplish a vow, or as a peace offering to Yahuwah, then shall be brought with the young bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with a half a hin of oil.
That's fried steak.
And bring as the drink offering a half of hin, not Hennessy. That's a measure. That's a term for measurement, Hebrews. That didn't mean Hennessy. Half a hin of wine.
They're my half a pint of hen. Just trying to be obedient.
When we go to the feast day, I'll guarantee you.
Oh, it's gonna be
plenty of brews out there with a jug of Hennessy.
Tell me, we just being obedient.
So a hen was a measurement, y'all. Lost my place, being silly. 10. 10, hold on. And bring as a drink offering a half of hin of wine as a offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. This is what is done for each young bull, for each ram, for each lamb, or young goat. According to the number that you prepare, so you do for each one according to their number. Let all who are native do so with them, in bringing near an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah. And key point, when a stranger sojourns with you, or whoever is among you throughout your generations. So now, the first part was for Israel. Now this is said, if there's a stranger or anybody with you. Okay. That means they're not Israel. Do we agree?
Yeah, that's what it said.
The first part was for Israel. This part is for those who not Israel.
We can say it, the book said.
Okay.
Okay.
And would make an offering made by fire. We read where Alexander.
Came and did it.
Alexander took
Sure did.
an offering and brought it to the priest and said, I want to offer to your God.
Sure did.
And the priest took that and offered to Yahuwah.
Yeah.
That's in
Was that
the
before
letter
he
of Aristias, I
became?
believe.
Was that before he became the world conqueror?
It may have been. That's not saying he was righteous.
Nah.
That's just saying that he honored and respected the fact that he perceived these people to be a people who had a power or a God in his perspective that was very powerful. If I'm going to dig deeper into that, he was probably one of the origins of the understanding that those who believe like him would bow at any and every altar.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's an altar over here. I'll bow to that altar. But Alexander made an offer.
He did.
He brought it to the priest, and this is how he would have had to bring it.
Real quick, I just wanted to help y'all to understand what the sweet fragrance to Yahuwah mean.
Mm-hmm.
You ever walked in Big Mom's house and she was frying up some pepper steak?
Whipping that.
Frying up some chicken or something, and you like, my good. You cancel plans. You like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I say this is a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah, meaning.
You sure you ain't got time for dinner?
Right, you know what I'm saying? Fry it up.
Yeah,
I mean, I enjoyed the smell of this. This was a good smell to him, just like it's a good smell to us. They say a lot of us smell like chicken. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm serious. I'm serious. Like this is. I had a real close Gentile friend in school, high school. She was real cool. And
until she said
what? No. Well, we were talking about like stereotypes.
Yeah.
So I said, most Black people, there are a few stereotypes. Most Black people believe that, you know, Gentile people have a certain smell.
Like baloney.
Yeah. And she's like, it's funny, we do too. And I said, really? What? And she's like, chicken. But I loved her. So I mean, I didn't want like chicken, you know. But yeah, it was a chicken. She said, you know,
it's a damn shame.
Black people smell like chicken and hair products.
Hair products, I can see.
Chicken and hair products.
Okay, that's too much chicken. Go ahead.
You know you like chicken.
Go ahead.
Who don't like chicken?
Go ahead, Red. Go ahead.
Okay, we had 20. We had 20?
No.
Okay. I think you left on 14. No, 15.
Yeah, you read.
You said 20. You said you're going to read to 21.
Oh, I'm reading?
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot. 14. I'm going to start at 14.
Okay.
And when a stranger sojourns with you or whoever is among you throughout your generation and would make an offering by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah, as you do, so he does. One law is for you of the assembly and for the stranger who sojourns with you. One law for the native and the foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Forever. Throughout your generations. He said that 3 different ways in one sentence.
Over and over.
As you are, so is the stranger before Yahuwah.
Wow. What?
That's 4 ways, 2 sentences.
Wow.
One Torah, here we go, number 5. And one right ruling is for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you.
Wow.
Now that stranger have to be sojourning with you.
Why do you think he repeated this so
That's a
often?
distinction that's very important.
Yeah. Why do you think he repeated this so often?
Because we're
did he
stiff-necked
know?
and hard-headed.
Did he know we would get to this point?
Yes.
Okay.
We are stiff of neck and hard of heart. That's in Ezekiel. I'm not saying it of my own volition. That's from Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
Stiff of neck and hard of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One law for the native and the foreigner. We good?
Mm-hmm.
17. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land which I bring you, then it shall be, when you eat of the bread of the land, that you present a contribution to Yahuwah. Present a cake of the first of your dough as a contribution. As a contribution of the threshing floor, you present it. Of the first of your dough, you are to give to Yahuwah a contribution throughout your generations. That means forever.
Mm-hmm.
22.
And when you sin by mistake, and do not do all these commands which Yahuwah has spoken to Moses, all that Yahuwah has commanded you by the hand of Moses, from the day Yahuwah gave command and onward throughout your generations. Then it shall be, if it is done by mistake without the knowledge of the congregation, that all the congregation shall prepare one young bull as an ascending offering, as a sweet fragrance to Yahuwah, with its grain offering and its drink offering according to the right ruling, and one male goat as a sin offering. Then the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel, and it shall be forever forgiven them, for it was by mistake. And they shall bring their offering, an offering made by fire, to Yahuwah, and their sin offering before Yahuwah for their mistake. And it shall be forgiven all the congregation of the children of Israel, and the stranger who sojourns in their midst, because all the people did it by mistake.
How many times did he say mistake? Sin by mistake. We go to Hebrews, say there's a different line of thought for willful sin. Willful sin is not considered the same as a sin by mistake.
So how do you sin by mistake? It happens all the time.
Happens all
So
the
now
time.
you a couple years ago, like 10 years ago, but I remember it's still on the memory. I went to we worked at Applebee's, and they had this thing on the menu called the quesadilla burger.
Oh,
And
and I ate the corn, and I ate the split pea soup.
yeah, and I sat down to the table to eat this quesadilla burger, and I'm like, my goodness,
Too good.
this burger is good. You know what I'm saying?
Hey fam, that's how you know.
Yeah.
When you say to yourself, this too good. I've been into several different products. I'm like, this too good.
Wait a minute.
And immediately I'm like, something wrong.
It took me back. You know what I'm saying? By the time I hit that second bite, I say, what is that taste?
That's familiar.
You're right, because I had stopped eating pork at like 16.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's bacon. I'm tasting
day.
bacon, And
All
I
day.
got up and I asked, the kitchen. He was like, yeah, they got bacon in it. I put some extra on it because, you the girl. I done sat here and ate 2 bites of bacon. You know what I'm saying? It happens. You do sin by mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a difference between saying, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish this and pray about it later.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
You got to toss it. Once it's been brought to your attention, you got to fix the matter.
Right.
And I should forgive all the congregation of the children of Israel and the stranger in their midst because by mistake. Okay. And if a being sins by mistake, then he shall bring a female goat, a year old, as a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for that being who strays by mistake. When he sins by mistake before Yahuwah, to make atonement for him, and it shall be forgiven him. For him who does whatever by mistake, there is one Torah, both for him who is the native among the children of Israel, and for the stranger who sojourns in their midst. But the being who does whatever defiantly, whether he is a native or a stranger,
Willful sin.
he reviles Yahuwah, and that being shall be cut off from among his people. Because he has despised the word of Yahuwah, and has broken his command, that being shall be certainly cut off. His crookedness is upon him. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day.
One second, real quick. This is very important, y'all. And this is like, if we develop in a heart for the Most High, we have to work into our being that to transgress the law is to despise y'all. We're gonna see that. This said reviled in that version. We're gonna see that over and over. It says, because he's gonna say over and over, because you despised me. And you have to ask yourself, what do you mean they despise me? You transgress his law.
Yeah.
Like, remember, we entered into a contract.
Yeah.
We entered into a covenant.
We said, I do.
This was a marriage contract,
Yep.
right? And so if we enter into this marriage contract and then you do something contrary to that marriage contract, in my opinion, you despise me. You despise the contract. You despise everything that we put on paper.
Yep.
How does that make me feel? How does that make her feel?
Yeah.
If you have despised that contract, you despise me.
So we what we trying to say, because I was talking to a young lady earlier, the importance of following Abiyah's law. And if you break the law, being prepared for the consequences. No sin goes unpunished. Books say that over and over again. And so if you experiencing things in your life right now that, got you torn, got you, consider it, go back, look and see what it is that you did.
Yeah.
This day, because the Messiah died for us, we can repent.
Yeah.
We can say Abiyah in the mighty name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Please forgive us.
Yeah.
Please forgive us for this.
And that's how
You
we
know?
learn to hear his voice. His voice is Torah. His voice is Torah. So when we're talking about testing the spirit by the spirit, and we testing the spirit of others, we also testing the spirit on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so if Nehemiah painted a perfect picture. When the people came out of captivity from the Persian captivity from the time of Darius,
Mm-hmm.
and they went back to the land, and they were recounting the laws. They spoke different languages. They were reading it to them and helping them understand the laws. And some people started crying. They was reading the laws and started crying. Nehemiah was like, "What's wrong with you? It's like the way you feeling about this law is causing you to cry. Don't you know this is the same reason we were shipped off into captivity? Like, it's gonna happen again."
Yep.
The way you respond to this means this is gonna happen again. And it did.
And it did. And it did. You know what I'm saying? We have to, I don't know. Let me tell you something. But Abiyah is merciful and he's a good father. Because when you learn a lesson, he rewards you double time.
Mm-hmm.
He punishes you, but the reward is so sweet. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm gonna give a little testimony. And I don't know if I gave this one before. We probably did. When we were trying to get a house for the first time, our first house, Abiyah he had punished us. We kind of got lax in our walk, you know what I'm saying? And so although we was keeping the Shabbat, we wasn't like real serious about it. We were still like watching movies. I mean, just like really kicking it. Like nobody was picking up their Bible, For the record, we wasn't working, you know what I'm saying? But, we had got real lax in our walk. This was 7, 8, 9, just some time back. And he punished us. And we knew it was him because we were staying at this house that was really nice. He blessed us with that. That was a blessing. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't tell us nothing. It was really nice. And just all of a sudden, I mean, just like that, the landlord called and was like, yeah, some came up.
He loved us too.
He loved y'all good people.
He loved us.
Y'all good people, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm gonna need you to move in 30 days.
Just like that. Boom.
What, sir? Wait, what? We have children. I understand that. Y'all got good children. Some came up. Yeah. And when I tell you, every place that we called for 30 days now, we had 30 days. Every place that we called was like, yeah, too many children. No, it's not happening. Yep. Too many children. No, it's not happening. And the one place that accepted us, boy, you talking about run down. It was run down, run in, run out, but it was a roof. And we stayed there. And I cried because I knew it was punishment. And Shlomo came in from work one day and was like, listen, we was settling down to watch a movie for the Shabbat. And he came in and was like, listen, this it. We're gonna take from this moment on, we're gonna take the Shabbat seriously, pick up your Bibles. I'm saying, oh boy, I'm talking about, we was all grumbling. We all like, what you saying? And from that point on, we never took y'all Shabbats for granted. And we was punished. We had to stay there for about 2 years. And then after 2 years, he blessed us to be in a position where we could move into a better house. And it's something about Yah's punishment, or maybe humans. While we getting punished is very real. But as soon as he let up on the punishment and start blessing us, we forget that how it felt to be punished.
Right.
We get
the cycle.
Yeah, we get to thinking that, we untouchable now. We in a good spot now. And then there's even a voice that try to convince you that he wasn't really punishing you and you were imagining it. So give into your flesh again and allow yourself to enjoy this, because you put extra on it and that wasn't what it was. And so we got lenient, once again. And we were well on our way to buying the house, and we were in closing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Closing, like literally, let's meet Wednesday to sign for closing. And we like untouchable. We on top of the world.
Can't nothing go wrong now.
Can't nothing go wrong.
We in there.
And the agent called us, was like, "Hey, Fort, first just let me say I have never seen anything like this." And we like, what? Yeah. And she was like, "Well, the company that was financing your house closed."
Well, remember, old boy was gambling.
Yeah, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What you mean closed? Ain't there some kind of insurance or something that covered this?" And she was like, "Well, normally, but this is an unnormal situation." And Forrest, I'm just so sorry. I've never seen anything like this. And we knew instantly.
Yeah, she didn't know. But
she didn't know, but we knew. Yeah. And that was Ariel showing us, I am not to be played with. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Like, I'm here. I'm not invisible. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, intangible. I'm here. Don't play with me.
Yeah. We are supposed to be repairers of the breach. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be those that are mending the damage that has been done from our ancestors not following the law, and from our forefathers, even our immediate forefathers not following the law. So for us to still fall off into that same cycle of taking him for granted,
I told y'all that story because I see some of the babies, some of you babies suffering because of that. And we would be remiss if we didn't give our own testimony of how we were punished because we took the law for granted.
Remember, there's nothing that befalls any of us
that
is not common to all of our brothers and sisters. So we all deal with the same struggles. We all got very similar testimonies. We all got similar walks into this truth.
Don't listen to that voice that tell you it's no big deal.
Or the one to tell you they don't understand.
Yeah.
Don't nobody understand. It's just me.
Yeah.
That's the adversary. That's a lie.
Okay. Did you want to read some first or pick it up?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And Yahuwah said to Moses, okay, so the man was picking up sticks, and those who found him gathering the sticks brought him to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation. And they put him in under guard because it had not been declared what should be done to him. And Yahuwah said to Moses, the man shall certainly be put to death. All the congregation stoning him with stones outside of the camp.
Serious.
And all the congregation brought him outside of the camp and stoned him with the stones as Yahuwah had commanded Moses, and he died. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and you shall say to them, to make zizits on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a blue cord in the zizits of the corners. And it shall be to you for zizits, and you shall see it, and you shall remember all the commands the commands of Yahuwah, and I shall do them, and not search after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you went a-whoring, so that you remember and shall do all my commands and be set apart unto Yahuwah. I am Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim to be your power. I am Yahuwah, your power.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So those tassels, you got to understand what the tassels are for. CC's, tassels, fringes, however you want to phrase it. With the cord of blue, to help us remember not to do our own will, because scripture says that the heart of man is wicked. Who should know it? Above all things. So it's like a little child, I'm training you how to do this, and this is the reminder that this is the way you should do it, not all the little stuff that pop up in your head. Don't do that. Do this.
Don't listen to that voice that tell you, how about, or you can do it this way. I'm telling you, that little voice,
The fox from
I know.
Pinocchio.
I know. Don't listen. Don't listen. If you don't take nothing that, we can take, if your jobs come with a new policy and your job roll out this policy and tell you in order to keep this 7-8 figure paying job, you got to follow this policy. If you stray to the right or to the left of this policy, you will be fired and you will lose your job.
Right.
You real serious. You get real serious. Like
Right.
the policy say, and so I shall do. So here's the policy.
Right.
But this is more important. Forget your job. You can get another one there.
We take jobs seriously. We take school seriously.
Yep.
We take friendship seriously.
Yep. And we take Abiyah lightly.
We need to take Abiyah the most seriously and let everything else fall where it may.
Okay.
That's how
this the most serious. Everything else can fall around that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all. Now is that time of the evening where
Akoti Latasha must be asleep.
We open the mic up.
No hands from Akoti Latasha during this whole. She must be asleep.
Do y'all have any?
No. I was listening. I was thinking. Now I was thinking about one of the Kotis when she asked about this chapter before in the group on Facebook, and she asked about where was this law at. So that's why I was reading. I was paying attention reading. My favorite chapter is actually coming up next week.
Okay.
Chapter 16. That's my favorite chapter. I'm waiting.
Look, it must be mine too. Can you see that whole chapter 16 highlighted in my book? You probably can't see it. The light throwing it off.
That's a bright light.
I know. That whole chapter 16 is highlighted. Whole chapter. The whole chapter.
Me too. The whole chapter.
Oh, and it's gonna be my turn to read. Don't let him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, y'all remind him that's gonna be my turn to go first.
If they oh, okay.
Yeah.
I said in my head, I'm like, if they keep going this chapter, the next chapter is good. This chapter 16 is real good.
Yeah.
Every time I always like, I just don't understand. I don't get it, but okay.
It be like that, sis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody have anything they want to add? Y'all want to give y'all testimonies? We love testimonies. And think about this time when y'all somebody else may benefit.
Go ahead, Coach.
I just wanted to say we were discussing about Caleb and both of them. I was saying that they also remembered Yahuwah's wrath before. Remember when he did the snakes and the earthquake? So that's why they were like, man, more scared of him than anybody else, because they were like, man, I seen him work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent point. Akoti Keisha.
I got my zits off of Amazon.
There you go.
I didn't know they sell them on Amazon.
I'm sure some people do. I'm sure they do on Etsy as well.
Etsy, probably, yeah.
I was gonna say, if you DM Rib, she'll put you in contact with one of our bots make tassels too.
That's her little business.
Yeah.
She make tassels, her little hustle.
Yeah.
She makes some nice ones.
Oh, where does she got where can I order?
DM Rib.
Where can I purchase?
You can order from
Can
Rib.
you guys hear me?
Yeah, just hit me on Messenger.
She's scared to set up a website because she's scared she's gonna get bombarded with orders and not be able to keep up.
Hit me on Messenger after Shabbat.
Yeah.
And I'll hook you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
But y'all always remember that y'all testimony can help other people too.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, sis.
I have one question. The guy that went to collect the sticks, now do y'all think he was rebellion to see if Yah was actually going to do what he said he was going to do?
Yep.
Or do you think he forgot? I'm thinking in my head like he was rebellion to see like if Yah was going to actually do what he said he was going to do.
I can see it perfectly. I can see some man telling me what he ain't gonna do and what he is gonna do. Because the scripture first talked that we were warned about those who despise his law, who say in their head, they already grumbling about what happened in Mizraim and what didn't happen. Moses then told them, I ain't with you. And so he just said to himself, oh, you know what, look, no, I'm not finna, you finna what? Sit there and eat cold? What? I'm not eating that cold. I'm going to get some sticks.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was to test y'all or not, but what I do believe is that he didn't forget.
No.
It wasn't an accident because we just read the law of if somebody
sinned by
mistake. And so if he sinned by mistake, Yahuwah who sees all and knows all and knows his heart, wouldn't have told them to do what they did. Obviously, y'all said make an example of this one.
Yep, because he didn't say it. Oh, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But and then when I get away with it, I'm gonna tell everybody I started a fire. I cooked the whole.
Yeah.
I took that quail.
Did he truly tell you can't eat from every tree
and made me some bread?
Yeah.
I did all that at about 10:45 because I was hungry.
And you know I worked all day, so.
And nothing
happened. Stiff-necked people.
Yes, hard of head and stiff of neck. Yep. Ezekiel, fan. That's one of my favorite books.
Yeah. That's our people.
Hard of head.
Well, every time I hear that about the sticks, I told you I think about, with my dad, He like, microwave, nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it. I would never say.
I got scared.
I would never say you wrong. I mean, you can get.
I thought about it. Yeah. Well, and I didn't think about it like you were saying about to light a candle in my bathroom, and I said to myself I picked up the match and I said, that's lighting a fire.
That is.
And I put the match down and I was like, but it's just certain things that you do that it's like automatic. Every night I always light a candle, and I had to think about it. But on sundown, from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, I can't have that candle.
Here's the thing.
Unless you light it before the Shabbat.
Yeah, here's the thing. What the scripture actually says is don't kindle a fire, right? So think about in those days what it took to kindle a fire. Meaning you had to bring your kindling, you gathered your sticks, you set them up, you brought your kindling, you put your kindling in the midst of your pyramid,
your little teepee,
and you lit that fire, and you sat there blowing. And you fanned it and blew. So you talking about work. You're talking about some work to kindle a fire. Now, if you kindled that fire before the Shabbat and didn't let that fire go out, you had a fire all Shabbat. Not to say that you was gonna cook on that fire, because now we're talking about cooking, we're talking about a different process of work, which is, slaying the animal, skinning the animal,
cleaning it,
washing the animal, plucking the animal, all that type of stuff. So that's another process of work. So now you're talking about two processes that take work in order to get to what you're talking about. We have been so distanced from that style of life that now we have to assess within ourselves and what the spirit of the law was saying, to say to ourselves, okay, what do y'all mean when he said this? And you have to make a judgment in your own household. And I'm not gonna never say really what somebody judging their own household is right or wrong because it's what they judge for their household. So what are you doing in your household that's like kindling a fire? What are you doing in your household that's like cooking food?
And then
Making a sandwich ain't like cooking food.
And then I think what the most important part that people miss about that whole lesson he's trying to teach us, he's telling us to prepare for the Sabbath. Prepare for the Sabbath. So think about the Sabbath in the 1,000-year reign. Okay, what does it mean to prepare for that time of rest? It means everything that I do in my life is preparing for the rest, preparing for the hereafter. So he has us doing that on a smaller scale every week.
Weekly.
Prepare for the Sabbath. Prepare for that 1,000 year of rest. Prepare for the return of the Messiah. Messiah comes back and there's 1,000-year rest. That's day 7. He comes back on day 7. Everything we do in our life is supposed to prepare us. We're supposed to prepare to be there in day 7. Prepare for that rest.
Right.
So he tells you, prepare your meals for the Sabbath. Prepare your household for the Sabbath.
Right.
So when
Show me your lamps with oil.
Okay, so when you doing that, when you getting out there early, going, doing your shopping, doing your cooking and everything, whatever, you got your whole meal prepared. So you're prepared for the return. You're prepared for the rest.
And the thing is, like, what takes precedent over that? Because I'm gonna just be honest with you. There are those who are of the mind that, well, I worked late, so I didn't have an opportunity to prepare, and so I'm gonna cook after sundown, or I'm gonna cook Shabbat morning anyway, because work just, and we in the land of our captivity. So, and that's a way to think. But if you take what Rib just said in mind and really consider what it means to prepare, you have to ask yourself, what are you setting as your priority? Have you then set your boss's business as your priority, or have you set your father's business as your priority?
Because if you knew you was gonna be busy Friday morning, you should have did it Thursday night.
Whatever you had to do.
Whatever you had to
in
do
order
to
to
make
be
sure
about your father's business.
to make sure that when the return came, your lamps was lit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the 5 virgins that wasn't prepared.
Okay.
They wasn't prepared. Coach Leslie.
Yeah, I wanted to just add that when I think about things like that, I think about, being careful that we're not just following the traditions of man instead of the laws of Abba Yah. So I think about all of the things that are in like some of the traditional, like, Jewish texts about, so the Bible tells us we're not supposed to cook a goat in its mother's milk. And they go so far as to say, don't eat dairy products with meat products in the same meal. So I try not to, I try to just remember that and try to just remember to,
It's you have people who, as the scriptures say, they have the word, but they don't have the spirit. You know what I'm saying? And so they have the law, but no spirit. And then you got people with a lot of spirit, but with no law.
Right.
And so if you can be that person that finds the balance between the word and the spirit, then that's it. That's the, so
Scripture say worship in spirit and in truth.
You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of brews who's like all about the book. They all about, but they don't have no spirit, and most of the time when you talk to them, they ain't really about Messiah, it's,
The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Shabbat, right?
Absolutely.
What did that mean?
Right.
What was he trying to teach us with that?
Right.
You should not come to the weekly Shabbat or any feast days or any of that.
I have a question.
Again, any of y'all's laws, statutes, commandments, and feel burdened.
Right.
If you feel burdened about any of his laws, statutes, commandments, or the Shabbat, then we should do some self-reflecting.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Latasha
have
Chan was
a
up next.
question.
And then you, sis.
Okay, Coach Christine. Latasha.
Can we heat food up?
Say that one more time.
I think it's a delay.
It's definitely a delay.
Is it I-6? Yeah, it's I-6.
Oh no, Coach Christine, what I was just going to say about the parable of the 10 virgins, but Riv had already said it about the parable of the 10 virgins.
Okay. Yeah. You wanna elaborate, sis? It's all good. You got the mic.
No, I was just when she was talking about the preparedness of the Shabbat and how we're supposed to be prepared and how the 5 virgins were and how the 5 wasn't and how we were talking about some people preparing the day of and then the day of is too late. So you preparing something for the day of while everybody else is moving forward and you stuck behind and now you banging on the door asking to come in when the table has already been set.
Okay.
So that's what I was thinking of, like when it comes to the Shabbat, as far as like preparing your spirit, mentally preparing. You not just because sometimes we all get and like just the true guidance of what he's telling us our Shabbat is supposed to be about. Right. So that's what I was just thinking about the parable of the 10 virgins.
Yeah, you're right. We should have a mind toward the future at all times.
Yeah.
We should have a mind toward more accurately a mind toward the kingdom at all times. A mind toward the kingdom, knowing that this is all temporary.
Yep.
It's all fleshly and temporary. Yep.
So, Coach Christine, what was you saying? Because I didn't hear you good.
I was just wondering, after we prepared, or do we have to eat it room temperature, or how do we do it? Because I heard we're not supposed to microwave or anything.
And like I say, that's one of those things that's going to vary between households. We use a microwave. I don't see a problem with using a microwave. I don't see that as work.
Yep.
In the true sense of the word, I don't see that as work. Bird gobbler.
That's not a wasp?
No.
Oh my goodness.
That's not.
Okay. We prepared our food, right?
Yeah.
So our food is prepared. We don't turn on the ovens, but the microwave is radiation. I don't know. I don't think it's healthy for us. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't good for you.
But we did what Abiyah asked us to do, which is to be prepared. It's one of the things that when we and we're confident in this, when we were coming into the walk and we were trying to figure out what was right, what was wrong, Abiyah let us know with whether or not he punished us for it. See, learning to know when the Father is punishing you can help guide you in many things. So if you ever have a question, and this is something that an individual should learn. That way nobody can lead you astray. Right. Because you know when Abiyah punishing you and you know when he's pleased with you. So our blessings and our punishment come from on high. He is our power, he is our master, he is our Father. So anything that we bless with comes from him. And anytime we punish, it's because he allows it. So we know when we ain't doing something that he's cool with. Had to learn, to stop going into clubs. You know what I'm saying?
Had to learn to stop going into high places.
Yeah.
Churches and whatnot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Even for close family members' funerals sometimes. We may go to the repast before I go to a funeral.
You know what I'm saying? And so we had to learn what was acceptable and what wasn't, because he punished us. Even to the point of should we make out on the Shabbat? If
No making out on
if the you know what I'm saying, Abiyah punished us so good about that, and I'm talking about, you know, we was a little stiff neck about that, and the first few times it was a gentle punishment. It was a gentle, like, don't do that, and we not, you know, could that be considered? I mean, it didn't hurt that bad. Could that, you know, I'm a big girl, you know, and then boy, he hit us, and I was like, so we're not supposed to do that.
And then it's confirmation we read it several places.
Yep. And then after, we read it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the thing with the microwave, you know, microwave, no punishment. The oven was a little kickback. So there you go.
So remember, life always, and then the law, right?
Yep.
So we don't read any laws that are contradictory with preserving life, unless somebody's in sin or rebellion. And so we see those examples with Mashiach, with them roaming through the pastures and picking food, even though technically a scribe or a Pharisee would say they was harvesting, which was work, which is when he told them, you know, man was made for the Shabbat, not Shabbat for man. Or Shabbat was made for man, not man for the Shabbat. Life over the law.
David, right? We see David went into the temple,
took the showbread, which was
the
unlawful.
showbread. Yeah. That was unlawful, but they was hungry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, not to say, you know, to eat a cold turkey wing could kill us.
It's not gonna kill you.
But you know, y'all have to go by your own judgment, and y'all have to listen to the Father on your own with that. Like, we're not finna be here like, yo, we use the microwave, you use the microwave.
Yeah,
listen,
look,
you pray about it.
Microwave ain't good for you.
No,
right?
it ain't.
So if the head of your household say we not using the microwave,
y'all ain't using the microwave.
Foods you don't have to use the microwave for.
Yeah.
You could do sandwiches, you could do salad, you could do all kind of different things. You could do, you know, crackers and meat and crackers and cheese,
Nibbits and chibbits.
It's all kind of stuff you can do.
Chicken salad.
We have coffee on the Shabbat.
Yeah, we do. Some people
I'm
don't
just
do
be
that.
honest with you. I wake up, one of my children start coffee for us.
So you can brew coffee?
We brew coffee.
We brew coffee. I don't, like I say, we haven't experienced any kickback. I hate to make it sound like but we believe that we're in tune with him that way. We haven't experienced any displeasure in it. And so we do it. But like I say, we are not, maybe he not happy with, you know what I'm saying? We are just fellow servants, you know, trying to figure it out too.
That's what she's saying. What she's saying is, we're telling y'all what we do.
Yeah.
Not this is law.
This is law.
Right.
You know.
And so
let me tell you what ain't gonna work. You said it before the Father. He said, so you brew coffee.
There's a couple of places I draw the line.
Yeah.
I'm not turning on the stove.
Yeah, he don't too.
The
toaster oven.
We ain't using the toaster oven.
Yeah.
That's the oven. You cooking food. We're not turning on the eyes and putting something in the skillet to cook.
Yeah.
Because now we're talking about cooking, right? We're not using this one we just talked about recently. I don't think we should be using the George Foreman grill. That's my personal opinion as the head of my household.
And so we don't use the George Foreman grill. So
you as individual heads of household have to you know, and don't be whimsical about it. I mean, if you feel like Yah is leading you in a certain direction, be prepared to stand on what you feel like Yah telling you. So I'm not like trying to lay burdens on my family that I'm not willing to bear. Scribes and Pharisees. What I'm saying is, I don't think that I think that this is the line that y'all probably don't want us to cross. And I may be wrong, I'm not sure, but this is the line that I'm willing to stand on the day of judgment and say, Abiyah, I think I can justify that. I don't think I can justify that. And being the head of my household, it's on my shoulders. So we're not doing that. That I'm okay with. And if that was wrong, guess who would fall on? It fall on me. You understand what I'm
It
saying?
was the man you gave me, Abiyah, that said the microwave was cool.
But that's how you got to think of it.
Yeah.
Right? Are you prepared to stand on the day of judgment and say, I thought that was okay?
I truly believe the Father don't. When I tell you he punishes us instantly, I'm talking instantly. Like if we do something, and I mean, and I'm sure he this way with everybody. You know what I'm saying? But it's just learning to recognize it. Like if we do something that he's unhappy with, it's an instant. Man, okay, so that hurt. You know.
But it's more and more, and if you just be honest about it, it's more and more instant with us the longer we've been in the walk.
Yes.
So earlier in our earlier stages of this, it wasn't always that instant.
Yeah, he was
and
very
it wasn't
merciful.
always that harsh.
Yes.
But the longer we've been in this, the more it's like you should know better.
You should know better. It's just this is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah, you should know better. Nah, I'm not accepting that. You finna get popped. Period. And it's gonna hurt. You like my muffler went where? How many stops back? Wait a minute. Instantly. Like that. You know, it be stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because when we like in sync with him and we doing things be, I mean, perfect. Like
doors fly open.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You'll see. So I've been in a situation where there's been a maniac cussing everybody out in the store, throwing bread and stuff for people, and to see me and tilt their head, good day to you, and just walk out. You be like, what the devil? You know what I'm saying? Everything, when you're in sync with Abiyah, everything goes right for you. Everything.
And that's what Messiah said.
And we've experienced that. Everything goes right for you. That's
what we're striving for.
Yes.
Being in alignment with Yah.
Yep.
So that everything goes well.
Yeah.
That's what we all supposed to be striving for.
But when you not, you be like, my goodness. When it rains, it pours. You ever heard that? When it rains, it pours. I bet. Stop sitting. You know, you said you was gonna finish that pot of gumbo. You know you ain't supposed to be eating that shrimp, and now it's pouring in your house. I bet it's pouring. You know what I'm saying?
It's pouring in your house through the roof.
Through everything. It's just pouring. You know what I'm saying? I went out there to a ticket. And then when I went into the station to try to tell them about the ticket, I came out, it was a boot on my car. Got home, my lights was off. Then they told me it was a mistake, but they can't turn it back on for another week.
Yes.
Then they said they couldn't refund me because the IRS, something messed with the IRS. I'm like, what the IRS got to do with the light company?
Tell you something. God's trying to tell you something.
Then I walked in there and the girl pushed me. And when I asked her why she pushed me, she pulled a knife on me.
Maybe trying to tell you.
Oh my goodness, what else gonna happen? You better throw that gumbo out.
Can't sleep at night.
You better get that shrimp out your house.
Tell you something. Y'all remember that song?
Tell you, bro, it's real.
No, Neil. With my son, he tells my mom. He said, "I take my Shabbat serious because my mom like Zion. Give me a glass of water." He said, "I can't get no glass of water for you, my mom, because that's considered to serve our work."
That's considered to serve our work. I don't know if that qualifies.
I don't know if that qualifies.
I said, Tasha, and the thing is, she'll ask me, she said, Tasha, can you give me a glass of water? I'm like, yeah, you can get you a glass of water. No, Mom, that's considered serve our work. Remember, you can't. I said, boy, if you don't get my mom some water.
I tell you what, sis, I enjoyed meeting your son when we fellowshipped.
Yeah, we did.
I'm looking forward to hanging out with him again.
He's something else.
I did enjoy hanging out with him.
And my son Israel got the same spirit. They got the same.
And Noah.
And Noah, sure do. They got the same. You know, they just very swift.
He loved Noah, but he always asking about him too. I'm like, he's there. He did disappear. He's there. He don't where Noah at? I said, Noah's not on camera.
Everybody like Noah.
They all knocked out right now, but they're here.
Everybody like Noah. Noah is the man. He just and he don't even try. He just Noah.
All right, fam. Y'all got anything else?
Yeah, man. I'm about to, boy.
Before I go eat my Shabbat dinner,
I'm gonna hit my pillow. It's gonna feel like I'm falling in the ocean.
Who was that? What you got?
Well, no, I was gonna say, Coach Tamika, if you meet my son, you would like him too, because what he tell us, Rip, he's supposed to train his wife up in the way she should go. Now,
what he said.
When he said,
what he said.
Yeah.
And then Shlomo, he just like that. Shake.
Yeah.
So like
train.
He ain't saying no lies. He didn't tell no lies. He said he's supposed to train his wife. I said,
I can't wait.
That's book. That's brother. Hey, I can't. That's what it say.
Look, all we heard was train. That's all we heard was train.
I know.
Automatically said,
I'm about to say, good luck with these American women. American woman, stay away from me. Remember that song?
I do.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Tell the young brother we looking forward to hanging out with him again.
Yeah.
Next time we fellowship.
Yeah.
I enjoyed his company.
Yeah, he was cool. He was cool.
All right, fam. Well, look, I ain't ate all day, so I'm gonna go eat me some Shabbat dinner.
I'm going.
Y'all ate.
I'm going vegan.
You can start another conversation.
I'm not gonna start another conversation. I'm sorry. Okay. Good night, y'all. We love you. Let this man eat.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
family.
shalom. Okay, it's the last when you slide in. Hey, Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Later.
Because I've been blessed by the grace. I'm cold as fresh. Yes, I'm cold as fresh. Yes, I'm too blessed to be stressed because of yeah, we gonna I say yes. I ain't too blessed to be stressed. Nevertheless, I must confess. Yes, this is Project Wake Up Jacob. On the Sabbath we rest and reflect upon his goodness. Because I got it by the Ruach Kodesh. Yes, whenever I get dressed, yes, I'm dripping Kodesh fresh. Yes, this style fit me down to a T. Because I'm a ruffian, discussing precepts from the holy manual of his constructions. And TZ's cover 4 corners of my garment.